All right, welcome to Artcasters. I think this is episode like 287. Can you guys hear me okay? I hope so. I'm on this weird mic. All right, so today is going to be a really relevant topic, and I think it's actually pretty pertinent for like cartoonists, especially because, we'll wait to get too heavily into the topic till we introduce everything. But I think this will be a really good, pertinent discussion for like cartoonists out there. And we have a returning guest and a new guest. And before we introduce our guests, I'll just kind of start with me. Like you're on my channel, so if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, hit the bell, so you get notifications when we're about to go live. And of course, pick up a copy of my graphic novel, Two Stories, which is a 120-page graphic novel about faith and mental illness that's hand-lettered, hand-inked, and can be handed to you in print. And if you decide to, if you have no ethical issues with Amazon and you decide to like get a deal, you can get it for about $5. So if you have Prime, that's like a Starbucks coffee for a full graphic novel. So check it out, pick that up. And if you really want to go the right way about it, go to your local comic shop, ask them to order Two Stories by Joshua Kemble through Ingram. And that'll do it for my stuff. Scott, where can everybody find your work? Where can they find cool, amazing stuff about comics?
Yeah, you can find my stuff at Serkworks.com. You can also find me on my YouTube channel. Just search Serkworks on YouTube. I have a series there called Making Comics 101, and it is basically a step-by-step class course on YouTube, free on YouTube, on how to create comics. Everything from coming up with your idea all the way to creating the finished product, getting it out there in the world. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. It's very comprehensive. And yeah, and if you like to make comics, I sell digital tools and just all kinds of stuff that'll help you make comics, and you can find that, like I said, at Serkworks.com.
Sweet. And then we are also joined by the recovering Cory Kerr, who's made it and is. Where can everybody check out your awesome award-winning animations?
You can go to CoryKerr.com, and if you go to CoryKerr.com/online, that'll take you to the newest stuff, or you can just click on what's new there. And yeah, slowed down a little bit on the awards, but I got a couple. So yeah, it's been fun.
More than a couple, but yes. Cory, also, anytime you say what's new, I still holding the fact that I wish I had like a sound button so I could have Tom Jones come in and be like, "What's new, pussycat?"
I actually want you to sing it every time I do that. I'm hoping that you burst out into.
You know what? Maybe I'll just go whoa, 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 and then we'll move on awkwardly after.
Everyone will be uncomfortable. And
I love it. Yeah. Speaking of serenading, the guest that's new was serenaded on I believe our last Artcasters. It is Gary Hodges.
That's right.
The creator of Dinosaurs versus Marsbots. Gary, where can everybody check out your work? And also, since we're right at the top, why don't you let people know how they can get a hold of a limited edition cover of
yes.
Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, if you want to find me, follow me. You can. The easiest way is to go and find me on my Instagram. It's Dinosaurs vs Marsbots. That has a link tree that'll take you to my YouTube, which I hope you can subscribe to and click the bell and to get alerts and all of that. It'll take you to my Etsy shop where you can buy my comics, including right now the very limited exclusive pulp edition of D vs. M 1997. I'm really happy with how the cover turned out. I did this kind of retro 50s sci-fi styling with the fake distress effect. 59 pages of story. There's extra stuff in there.
Don't forget
very
the
happy with
how
how
it Scout.
What's that?
The Scout that got stomped on. Don't forget that.
Oh yeah, don't forget. A lot of people are really enjoying the fact that if you look real closely, a scout is getting stepped on by the giant Martian.
Yeah,
robot.
one of those scouts did not make it past the cover.
No, he did not. It didn't go well for him. So I've got a few left. It's super, super limited. There's actually only 35 being sold, 25 individually and 10 paired with the pulp edition of D vs. M 1975. There's like, I think, a dozen left, 6 of the individuals, 6 of the pair. If anyone orders one during this broadcast, right now, while this is live, not when you're watching the repeat, I will throw in for free. This is going to be like a Jerry Lewis telethon. I will throw in Art of Dinosaurs versus Marsbots Volume 1, where you can see all the kind of old stuff I did before the comic, all the color drawings of, let's see here.
Is that the stuff that's in the color book? Because I've got I remember the color book when I first met you.
General Fantastictron, who you haven't met in the comics yet, and you see like dinosaurs and aliens and just all these different scenes of the dinosaur Martian War. I will throw that in for free if you buy this in the next 60 to 90 minutes, however long we go. I'll be watching my phone. I'll announce it. Like I said, it'll be like a telethon, except rather than Cripple Kids, it's going to be money from me. It's almost the same.
I actually adore this. I think this is a really good opportunity too for the Artcasters community to like show how we support indie creators. So my goal for our cast is let's buy out Gary. Like he's got what did you say?
We can do it.
6 and 6. That's 12.
About 6 and 6 Yes. Yeah,
we can do this, guys.
I think we
operators are standing by. There's hungry children,
and maybe we can
put petty differences aside and unite and push in the same direction as a community.
And maybe we can help that kid out that got stepped on by the giant robot.
And maybe he'll walk again. Who knows?
There are Boy Scouts being attacked by Martian robots that need your help.
Right.
And
look at this kid. Look at this. Look at him. How do you say no to him? How do you say no to that face?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I love it. All right. That is awesome. And there's also again links in the show notes too, where you can purchase Dinosaurs versus Marsbots. Our next guest is a new guest, and I'm really excited to introduce him. We've been kind of friends online for a bit, and we've also had this back and forth on chats in Artcasters, because like every time we have Gary on, Squatchy, our guest, will bug Gary to work on his comic. And
I have to jump in. I'm sorry, this is very exciting. There's already been a sale. Someone already, we're one step closer to this little boy being able to take one step. Like that's just amazing.
There are lots of Boy Scouts that are very thankful and have let's just say a sale saves a Boy Scout from a Martian robot. You've just saved one. Or it can go the reverse.
I was about to say.
His mom's going to be so excited.
You want to stomp a kid? Order a book.
It's true. When you make the sale, you can just state your preference: stomp or save. So Squatchy has been a long time supporter of the Artcasters and a member of the Hundreds community. And has just an immensely awesome sense of humor and really kind of unique, awesome art style. And I don't want to give away too much, but Squatch, you have a comic out too, and it's got variant cover editions. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? And then of course we can kind of get more in depth with the topic and stuff after. But
I just from being a collector, every book seems to have like 3 different variants nowadays and stuff. So like I wanted to do that with mine, and everybody else was like digging the idea. But yeah, I got Squatchy and Foo. It started as a joke, just picking on my friend Foo, who's in the chat. And people started liking it and started requesting for more, and then like I kind of started adding them into it too and having a joke at them, and then everybody started saying you got to get it printed. And so I just wanted to wait. Like, it's a comic strip, so it's a collection of comic strips, so it's not like a ongoing. But this is a nice little homage to Wolverine #8, where they're in the tuxedos.
Nice.
I love
That
it.
glare. But this, one of my favorite comics. I mean, under Dinosaurs vs. Marsbots is Walking Dead, and this is one of their 100 covers that I did a homage, and everyone that's in the pile is a member of the community that appeared in the comic.
Can we get a zoom in of Josh and
Oh yeah,
and myself? We're there. I see myself with my ski cap.
You guys went to a Halloween party, so that's why Josh is wearing a dinosaur hat, and then I threw in a little gray alien.
Yeah.
And I will say, just from previewing the comic, like, first off, this comic is not for kids, right?
No.
Like, neither
Flat
of these comics are really for children.
Not for kids,
but,
sensitive people.
Yeah. So it's but
yeah, or sensitive adults.
I will tell you what happens to Gary and I is pretty shocking and awesome. And here's the thing, like, the thing I love about it is what you just described, as it like started out as a joke, and then it became like this comic. And I think what makes it work is, first off, like, you kind of commit like 100% to the joke, which like, so you really like it, it's well drawn, it's well executed, and you, I mean, it's irreverent, but it's like great, like in the best of outlaw comics kind of traditions. And so I really love it, and I think that our audience will be both shocked, horrified, and laughing a lot.
It was fun doing, and I post them all the time on my Instagram so people can see which one just got finished, and I go live on my YouTube and I'll work on one on there and talk to people, and sometimes get ideas from the people that go in the live chats. Like, a lot of them have thought of some of the ideas in the book that made it to the book, and so I just start going off of what they did say, and then like maybe crack a joke, make it my own, but it's been real fun, and I gotta give it to Fu. Like even Gary was saying earlier, like he can take a joke, and I'm glad he can, because
merciless.
Merciless.
As bad as Josh and I get it, like in any other comic, that would be as bad as it gets. It's nothing compared to what Fu gets throughout this entire book. So
it's like it's deserved. Like, and it's not like it's just willy-nilly. Just me and him, like in our little group chats and stuff, like they'd call us an old married couple because with how we argue about stuff, and like, so it's like some of these arguments ended up in the book, like, because we have an ongoing Godzilla versus King Kong fight that will just he thinks I'm supposed to side with him because I'm Squatchy, but that is a lesser evolved animal,
So for the record tonight, King Kong and Sasquatch are not the same. Not on the same level.
Not in any way.
Yeah, I love Sasquatches too. Like, probably of the two, I tend to prefer the Sasquatch narratives, just because they've got like more of that kind of mysterious, like, AM radio vibe, which is just the best. But yeah, that's not really much of a contest. I'm sorry. Like, you've got a good point. So
I mean, what they did, I always go on a tangent about damn Godzilla vs. King Kong, but this most recent one, what they did to Godzilla, I will never forgive Hollywood. Because in 2014, what started this whole little trilogy, Godzilla is taller than buildings, and then you take him towards King Kong.
The scale thing is crazy. It bothered me too.
Yeah. There's no way you'll get Godzilla on a boat. No way. All right, I gotta stop with the Godzilla. But yeah,
It's all fine.
yeah,
The bad
I
man
love
can't
it.
hurt you.
yeah. That fight definitely happens throughout the book. It's just something that is still sore with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always been
love
a
it.
fan of comic strips, so like that's why I kind of started with a comic strip and not just doing a story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to start, honestly. And the cool thing is you stay consistent with it. And I think especially for humor strips, it's like it's super important to actually entertain yourself with humor, I think. Because if you don't think it's funny, like I don't think many people will, but I do think there's something about comics or art where it's like if you're actually into what you're doing, even if it's just like making you laugh, there's something about that like translates really well to readers and stuff. So so these are limited comics too, right? Like limited quantities.
The B and C covers are limited. I only printed 50, and right now I have about 20 left of each. And then I'm not going to print those ever again. The cover A I'll print again, but I'm pretty stocked up on cover A.
Nice. So,
but yeah, I didn't do a Kickstarter. I didn't do any of that. I just figured, I'll fund it myself. I'll invest in it, and if it does good, it does good. I made my money back the same day that I released the sales, so
there you go.
I was happy.
Yeah, that's
all right,
kind
guys.
of like, it's like convention for me, like convention economics. Like if you can at least make your outlay back, it's all good.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah, right off the bat to where
that's
now
great.
It's just
that's awesome
profit coming in. Like, so I'm happy with that.
All right, guys. So as we're doing this,
I've made my money back, but this kid has not. The medical bills are considerable.
So I hate to double hustle here, but like Squatch is also selling these in limited quantities, so just keep that in mind that like if you guys are picking up DVSM because of those limited quantities, Squatch is going to run out of those B and C covers too. So especially if you're into like alternate covers, and especially if you're into the idea of like seeing a bunch of people in the comics community murdered on the cover of a book, it's great. So like honestly, they're great covers. They're fun homages, and like that's it when they're gone. So pick those up during our stream as well. Let's support these indie comics creators. And the cool thing is it's like two ends of the spectrum where you have like really hardcore sci-fi fantasy, and then at the same time, which is more like a Pulp Fiction version of sci-fi fantasy. It's great. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have like just raucous comedy. That's like, it feels to me like a very late night watching MTV where like, what is this? Like just the style, the vibe of it, the humor of it. Yeah. It's really Oh, go ahead.
Everybody that's been getting it so far and reading it and everything, they say it should be on Adult Swim.
Yeah,
like totally. Or late night.
Yeah, I can totally picture that.
Like Beavis Butthead, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the style I was going for.
Yeah, it definitely has like a titmouse kind of vibe to it. So
because it's simple to do fast. You know what I mean? That. Like that's another reason why the style it's easy to do very fast. So I can whip out a whole strip in one day. So
that's awesome. So I think that's cool, and again, like it's a good opportunity for people who follow us to like you can get these limited edition books like now, and like by the next Artcasters, who knows if they'll be there. So that all being said, let's do our introductions. Well, we did our introductions. Let's get into the topic. I was like, let's do our introductions again. So you guys brought up a really cool topic, and it was so good, in fact, that like when I mentioned it to like Scott and Cory, both of them were like, this is a really good topic. So I'm really eager to get into it. And I think this was suggested by Squatch. And so I kind of want you to kick it off, but you were talking about the idea of cartoonists and comic creators like having a need to market to more than just other creators.
Yeah.
And so do you want to kind of kick that off, like a little bit about like what's brought you to that thinking and
okay, well, I was a tattoo artist for 20 years and tried promoting so much, and what I found on social media is most of the people that are following tattoo artists are other tattoo artists. You know what I mean?
Wow, I didn't know that was an issue.
That's your main, like your clientele will follow you, but a lot of people, they don't post their work, stuff like that, and you won't get tagged, so it's like, even coming from working as a tattoo artist before social media came, because I did it for so long, until using Instagram and everything, like nothing really helped bringing in business and stuff like that. When I started getting back into collecting comic books, started watching you guys, and everything, and then my shelf of comics turned into a short box, and then my short box turned into several short boxes, and now there's 12 short boxes. And through becoming a collector, looking at other collectors, you start making friends, you start getting involved into that community, and those are the people that are spending money. The people creating, they're not spending money, because I think a lot of people, they want to get their stuff out there. Everyone does. I want to. You guys want to. You know what I mean? But at this time, I was already tattooing, thinking that's what I'm doing for my life. And I get into the comic community just as a collector. So I was just getting in as a fan, someone that's buying stuff. And those are the people that you're interacting with, like on Instagram and stuff. Like I say Instagram because I didn't really with YouTube until I started watching. I got into mystery boxes, and through mystery boxes, watching those on YouTube and stuff, that's a whole fucking community. Sorry, it's a whole huge community, and it's how I met, Fu, who is in the title of my comic book. He's now like one of my best friends. Like, and
is that the furry from the comic?
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the furry,
the furry guy, right?
And if he's got picture proof, because I think he's the only one that saved the damn conversation. He just doesn't want to scroll all the way back because he knows we're right. But he did it to himself. He showed us something that said, based on your viewing history.
Oh no.
And it said First Friday on there. And me and my other buddy, we instantly jumped on it. And it was a night-long joke that turned into this, I mean, but
look at already the chat with the hashtags.
Yeah.
Never living. I love Fu with you. It just Fu, I'm sorry. It wasn't me.
But yeah, so like through these mystery boxes, I'm meeting the community, and they're the ones. I mean, they like through interacting with people, you're posting your art. You know what I mean? And they see that you're an artist too, you're a collector. So like I started doing sketch covers. That went huge because collectors love collecting, original art. And I know it's like fan art, but I mean, that's who's buying it, the fans. You know what I mean? Like I know it's look bad on everybody wants to get their own art out there, but you can do that. But you got to cater to the people that are collecting. So I've seen you guys talk about it a lot, and I've always like tried to chime in, but I don't like I'm not good typing, squatch fingers and all. But like I try to chime in when you guys talk about it because you guys have a huge following, but they're creators.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I know you guys, I mean, I've talked to you, Josh. I know you got boxes of comics, and I know Scott's got comics. I don't know, Cory, I know you collect some stuff.
Well, Cory's got a whole bunch right behind him.
Yeah.
I collect original art, so I have quite a few original pages. I actually just got 3 pages from. Josh? Have we done Rumble yet on IRS?
No.
Okay, so I just
Yeah.
got 3 original Rumble pages that are like really rad.
But dude, we need to do that.
Yeah, when the insurance company took my motorcycle, I was very sad, and I bought some artwork with them.
Hey,
I think that's a
everybody's
fair way
medicine
to
is-
do it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, but through like, you know, seeing what you guys have said, like, I mean, you guys, your audience, like everyone in the audience is a creator. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like when it hurts me when I see you guys say like some sales aren't, you know, like, and I'm like looking at your guys' stuff and I'm like, come on, man. Like still, like I still want you to sell me the original art for that page of that guy saying asshole, Josh. Like that is my favorite whole page from Two Stories. I just love that kid when he just the way you did his mouth is just my comedy right there.
Sounding out. Yeah.
I've lost it ever since. And then I got
That's
all
awesome.
the Young and the Dead, you know, like, and I just, man, like I hear you guys hate like that you don't like Instagram and stuff, but it's like, man, if you guys, you know, like spend a little more time just hanging out, I think it would change a lot because like just, I mean, fuck, that's all they want. Like, you know, like, you know, and then you end up making a whole lot more friends, connections that like, I mean, I'm doing covers for books, you know, like, I mean, kind of like Scott, but not super popular books like Ice Cream Man. But I got to do a cover for a Squatch book that got published in Canada, so that was cool.
That's awesome.
But I mean, I always said like if you just got to know your audience, and I talked to Gary about it a lot too, and it's just interacting with the fans is a whole lot like. But I'm not saying you guys don't interact because you guys do, but I mean it's like following them, liking their stuff, talking to them.
Yeah.
If they post a book that you used to collect, say something about it, because just that little tiny bit of conversation goes a long way with people. And then when they see you're an artist, they're gonna look at your stuff. They're gonna be like, oh well, I wonder if I could get him to do, because a lot of it is blank covers. You know, but then they also want to buy your prints. They want to buy your books. If you put out a comic book and like someone starts talking about, I mean, through Instagram,
So this is through Instagram because I've just found it really hard to get Instagram to convert.
Yeah, see, you gotta just stop thinking about the algorithm and just build your community. Like branch out from just creators, because if you're just aiming for, but see, you sell certain things for creators, so I can see why you do well with that,
right?
Because you do sell stuff for creators, but most of us as creators, we're just selling something for other people.
Right.
See, and that was, I want to just interject. That was a quote that you had when we were talking about this in chat, and I like screen capped it and sent it to Josh, where he's like, the only thing you can really sell to a creator is knowledge they don't already have. And when you think of it that way, you realize like if you don't really know what that would be, you don't have a lot to sell another creator. And then you're falling into the trap the way you, Squatch, you verbalized it to me 1,000 years ago, was a lot of creators, they're passing the same $20 back and forth.
Yeah.
So like, you know, your thing comes out and I'm going to support you, so I'll buy it. And then my thing comes out and you want to support me, so you hand me that 20 back. And like that's, you know, and that's kind of what you're doing forever. And that's what I wanted to point out in this was having a community of creatives, I think, is incredibly important. Like, I think if you're a creative, you want to have people who understand what it's like to be a creative, who understand what it's like to be an artist, who understand all the things you're going through, but that it's not a substitute and not interchangeable with an audience. And I think that was something that Squatch woke me up to, because if I forgot we must have encountered each other through Artcasters. I'm trying to remember how we met. Yeah.
Well, I started doing the 100s
I didn't do the 100s.
Yeah, but I started watching Scott and Josh. I mean, I watched Scott for I don't even know how long, like a long time, like years.
I think Scott may be sort of the hub of a lot of this, because I think Scott was the first creative that I really met. You know,
Yeah, but
and,
we
like,
met, we actually met in person.
yeah, like all the way, like
Yeah.
at Phoenix Comic Cons.
And then through the
I think
hundreds,
around
I
the same
found
time I met.
Artcasters.
Yeah, and so
that's-
somehow that got you turned on to D versus M,
Yeah.
and that's when you started reaching out to me.
Yeah.
And
It was before you had released it, I think.
oh, really? Was I still just working on it?
I think it was. I think
I feel like we did have you on before the first one. Am I wrong, Scott? I feel like we did.
On
It must have
I
been like
want to
in the
say,
run.
or it was right
Yeah.
when you did, because
Oh,
it
right
was
when I
before
did.
Phoenix.
Oh
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Did we
But
have you on earlier?
He reached out to me. Like, he had bought a comic. He had really enjoyed it, and he was a great fan. He told me, like, it was very validating.
Greatest comic ever.
Right. And I think it was after a few months, like, he would check in. He's like, "How many have you sold?" And I'd be telling him, like, you know, some number, and it was always like digits left than he felt I should be selling.
Mhm.
And like, that's when he was like, "You've got to start reaching out to." I think he saw that I had kind of. It's not really a trap, because, like I say, I think having a creative community is important, and I value it very much. But I think he was recognizing, he's like, "Yeah, I think you're selling to just fellow creatives. You know, you need to find readers. Like, if comic book readers read your book, they would, you know, want it, and they would tell their friends about it." And that was the thing I was telling Squatch like a couple weeks ago. I was like, I know some people have had bad experiences with fellow creatives. They found them to be catty or backstabby or whatever. I've never had that experience. I've always had very, very good experiences meeting other artists. But
You have a gentle touch, Gary.
maybe that's it. Maybe I'm just, I don't bring that out in other people. But I found them generally supportive and kind and interesting, and like, I enjoy those relationships. But a creative probably isn't going to tell you your work sucks, and you know what, you suck too. You know, like, the audience might, like, and so there's an extra level of bravery when you're stepping out and, like, you know, trying to meet the collector where they are, trying to meet the consumer where they are. You might get some negative feedback. I've gotten the troll comments on my YouTube channel, but what you'll also get,
I apologize for Foo's behavior.
what you'll also get are people who are really passionate about your work, and like, who get excited about it, and they'll buy your stuff, and they'll tell everybody they know who are other collectors, other readers, you got to like, look at this. And I just, as a funny random example, I have Squatchy, we have a friend in common. Like, he sent me this. He works at
Stevie.
He works at this place. Apparently, it's real business. I'm from Arizona. I've never heard of it. But he was telling me about it. This is just a guy who's read my comics. He's telling me about this. And I was hearing that he sends shirts out. Like, he's an employee here, and he'll send shirts out to whoever wants them. And I was like, I totally want a Come and Go shirt. And he sent it to me. A fellow creator will not do this for you, but a fan will send you crazy shit in the mail.
Yeah, they
will buy
AOKs.
multiple copies of your book. They will buy the variant collector's version. They will, you know, like, that's like, the creative friends will feed your soul and your morale. The collector friends will keep you going and put some money in your bank account, you know? So, and you need both. You know,
hey, you know, I feel like I'm a prime example. I tattooed for 20 years, and I discovered the comic community, and just by doing sketch covers to now the mystery boxes and sketch covers, and now with Squatchy and Foo, I retired from tattooing 2 years ago.
Oh, did you really?
I make more now doing sketch covers and commissions than I ever did tattooing. Yeah, so it makes me wish that I got back into comics a lot longer ago, because my life would probably be a whole lot different, you know? So it's like, and now I'm starting to branch out, like how Scott's doing exclusive covers. I've got a few I'm working on that I'm going to try and start pitching to certain places that I've become friends with, because they sell certain things that I want, and I talk to them in the DMs. I always make personable. If I'm buying something from them, I'll thank them. And then just through talking to them, this owner of this one comic they do a lot of exclusives. He hits me up every time a certain character. He hits me up personally, you know, like, and doesn't, you know, just not making a post. He'll be like, hey, this is coming up. I'm going to make a post about it in the future, but I'm letting you know ahead of time. And it's just like building those kind of relationships just by being a fan, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, we all got into this because we were fans of comics. I mean, we may not collect, like, everyone may not collect them all the way now, you know, like, but we, at one point, we were looking at those books, and as, you know, artists, we want to create that. I mean, we all were making comic books when we were kids. I was drawing me fighting aliens and Predator, you know, like, I mean, it all started with that love of comics. So, I mean, just other people that love them, you know, those are going to be the people, like, and also I've it's blown my mind because you guys got me started on like doing a TeePublic and a Redbubble. Like, I remember you guys talking about it in one of the shows to have side income and put your designs on those websites. Meeting the comic community, the amount of money of those designs when you promote that, hey, I got this design on a t-shirt. Some of the sketch covers, like, I asked the person, is it all right if I make this a sticker? You know, or if I put it in my t-shirt shop, you can own a t-shirt of it too. Most of the time they're like, hell yeah, let's do this. So, I mean, I've seen sales from that change too, like to where I'm like getting like, you know, not a full-time paycheck, but a half-time paycheck sometimes, you know, from just TeePublic, you know, like, so it's like, it's all about the community and really just being a fan. Like, I mean, we're all fans of it. We're all fans, you know, like, so, I mean, what's wrong with talking? I mean, shit, your whole, that one room that's all decorated and shit, Scott, like, I mean, you show some of that on, you know, like Instagram, like a little room tour and stuff like that. People, my buddy Food, he's got a huge collection, like the biggest Green Lantern collection you'll ever see. But he's surrounded by comic books in his setup. Like, he's got hundreds, if not 1,000, of little boxes behind him. But when he did a room tour, that was like his biggest video ever. You know, like, collectors, they just like to see that kind of stuff. And you have that dope setup, you know, like.
Yeah, I've done tours before.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and they do get probably more views than the average video. So yeah.
Yeah. And people, the collectors love it. I mean, it seeing that whole, and I just met a guy at my LCS. My LCS, they sold 5 of the Squatchy and Foos that they bought off of me. So that was pretty cool. And I got to bring them more. But I met a guy through there. He's got one hell of a setup. And every time he goes to the comic shop, he puts it behind. It's got all these LED lights. He's got the comic behind it. And this is what I got for New Comic Book Day and stuff like that. These guys, they're going to be the ones buying your exclusive. They're going to post it and they're going to put it in their stories. The stories, people really, like, because you can just easily share someone's post real quick in the stories, tag them, and it gets seen. Your stories get seen more than your posts do. So if you do stories a lot, that it brings people's attention.
You are far, far, far more active on Instagram than me. But like most people I know, like most creators I know, but it seems to be working for you. Like, I've noticed every day, like, there's basically like 5 new stories from you, you know? And I think I know I at least have that timidity of like, oh, people are going to get annoyed from hearing from me if I post about this again. And that doesn't, I don't know. I think
you're reminding them that, because a lot of them, like, they have a cart in their head and they put you in their cart.
Yeah.
And they forget to click or something like that. So you post it again. They go, oh shit, that was in here. I want to, check that out. And then that's like when they'll like the post. Yeah. And then they might.
The other thing I'm starting to learn, I know I'm not as good at it as you would want me to be, Squatch, but I've noticed with collectors, there's a different sense of price tolerance than with a creator.
Yeah.
Like whenever I say when I was working on this book and you were like, how much are you going to sell it for? And I was like, I think like 15, you know,
Yeah.
you were like,
I said you're crazy.
you're like, it's limited. It's 35. You should be charging like $40. And
Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking? Like $40. It's crazy talk. And
You
like,
don't
so I'm
understand.
doing, but
You don't
you're
understand.
doing like basically premium pricing for yours, and people are buying up,
Yeah.
you're selling better than mine. So I know, like, I'm realizing like, okay, there's a totally different sense of like what's a reasonable price. And
Well, I
I'm
kind of
almost,
did the sneaky thing, and I put a lot of people on the cover of a cover.
well, you did that
Made it
too.
exclusive.
On your high price cover, you have
Yeah.
like people on there. It's like,
I
well,
had
have to have
everyone
one
on
of
there. I
your
made sure
email.
all their faces
Yeah,
were showing. Yeah,
But even
it's a little
still, like
sneaky.
that's not the case with the B cover.
Yeah,
You
no,
know.
no. But yeah, well, see,
Oh,
this
speaking
is the
of,
thing.
sorry, limited edition covers, I just wanted to remind people that
Yeah.
there are a limited amount of the B and C covers from Squatch, and also that there are a lot of Boy Scouts either running in terror or
I have a second sale during this broadcast. Second person who's going to get a free bonus. This kid who fled, never seen again. He's still running in the desert for all we know. Help us find him. Help us find this little boy. Okay,
yeah, that's true. We still also have more Boy Scouts in peril, and you guys can do something about it.
You can.
Let's clear Gary out of these.
Help fight the Martian menace.
I love it. I love everything you're saying, and actually, it's one of the reasons. This is going to be a weird thing, but it's like for me, it's one of the reasons why I think I'm interested in publishers with a distribution model. Because self-distribution, you can get a lot done, but there's a difference between selling to people in your network and getting things into comic shops that are across the country, possibly in different countries. And yeah, it might be like 5 copies to each shop, but scattered across the whole US. And that's so important to reach people on a shelf or people who are like buyers of comics. I think what you're talking about is super important because it's good to build those relationships. But I also think like for me, like collectors, librarians are huge. The library market dictates what books are carried in bookstores, right? What books are considered important for education. So they might be ordered in larger quantities and stuff like that. And it's like, that's a whole bunch of angles that to me, I think is really important with comics too. So I'm glad you brought that up because that's something that I've definitely considered too, because it's like, you literally like, in doing this, I think it's important to build communities, and whether they're fellow creators or not, that's good. But I agree, like creators aren't going to spend the money unless it's on, like in the case of Scott, I think totally will, because he's providing tools for those creators, and they're useful tools.
Or somebody like Dan Ekus, who's, I mean, his whole thing is like how to be a better and more effective and more money-making creator. That makes sense.
He's giving knowledge. He's selling you knowledge. Yeah. He may be doing it for free on Instagram, or YouTube and stuff but that's what he's giving you. Right. But other than that, is he selling other stuff? You know what I mean? Like, or is he?
Yeah. And his Kickstarters do pretty well.
Yeah. His Kickstarters do well. That's why I've been trying, and this is sort of the test, but I've been trying to approach my channel. I do a little bit of like the art tutorial thing. I do a little bit of the process, but I try to aim it more at like, what I'm thinking about when I'm doing my videos is if I had a curious friend who wanted to know like what goes into making a comic, like I'll talk to him like that. So it is kind of aimed at like just perhaps a fan, someone who's just into comics and wants to know how I do it. I'm not really getting into the weeds of like, this is how you find this tool in the Photoshop, and this is how you set up your because I'm not chasing that like educating artist market. I'm trying to be more like, let me let you into my little world and you'll see how I'm going to make this comic that I'm going to try to sell you next year.
Mhm.
You know,
That's
like
smart.
that's kind of my pitch, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like for me, my thing is to try to build a cult of personality a little bit, and not like a massive one, just in the sense of like being very transparent and being very much myself, which throws people off, I think, who are like marketing. You know, I had a conversation about a month ago. I'm curious what you guys will think about this too, but it's like where somebody was telling me I should be less like, I don't know, they were kind of saying I need to censor myself more, like when I'm on public platforms. But the weird thing was, like,
No.
I'm not selling comics that are like all ages comics. Like
Right.
if I had an all ages comic, I would be marketing it that way. I'm not selling adventure comics, you know.
Right.
So
I know there's
like,
I know
Oh,
there's a
sorry.
lot of schools of thought on this.
yeah,
And I know a lot of people disagree, and they feel like you should be like project a very safe and inoffensive image to maximize your audience. I personally, and maybe because like you, I'm also doing kind of a niche comic.
yeah, and
I
it's
feel
more
like
for,
that's
you know,
horseshit. Like I
Yeah.
think people respond to authenticity. And you know, like I'm not gonna worry about if I say this thing, is that gonna drive off a sale? I don't need that sale. I'd rather say
Yeah.
the thing and invite the people in who agree with me. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
yeah, and I thought it was weird because I was like my guys, the guys I'm looking to like try to model after or whatever would be like R. Crumb. Like, you know, it's like he's not really known for like censoring himself like when he's speaking about like his viewpoints, or Harvey Picar, right? Like not a very quiet guy. Like he literally got like disbarred from television for being too vocal about his
Like
politics and stuff.
His Letterman appearances are like, can you imagine if someone went to Picar and was like, if you could just be a little more nice? You know, I mean, it's like ridiculous. It's like, or if someone goes up to Alan Moore, like, you know, if you cut your beard, maybe you wouldn't freak out the straights so much. You know, I mean, it's like, it's silly. It's a silly. I feel like it's a weird, to me, when I see that, like I saw that criticism of you, and to me, it feels like veiled lashing out. You know, to me it always reads as, I don't like what you said, so but I don't want to tell you I don't want to hear it. I'm going to tell you somehow you're compromising your market. Like I'm going to try, like, give me a break.
But I do feel like there are some scenarios where you might be compromising a market. Like I would feel weird if like, I don't know, like, so if I watch like Mr. Rogers or something, and then he starts telling you how you should vote, like on a Mr. Rogers episode.
That's weird.
Now, don't get me wrong, Mr. Rogers was super political. Like, but it was subtle, like, lessons. And I think that works when you're marketing to a certain market. Or if you're trying to cater to like a broad, massive audience, then maybe you want to make Bud Light instead of like a badass microbrew. But for me, that's the thing, is like, and that ties in, I think, with what we're talking about, because it's like, I feel like as an indie creator, it's important to know like what you're intending like for an audience, because like if you're trying to be a microbrewery and you're marketing yourself as Bud Light, you're going to lose that game.
Right.
You know,
I think, I mean, personally, I think the approach, it's just, I don't know, it's just like in like real life, not just internet life. You know, people have been elected president because, quote unquote, I could picture having a beer with them. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't think your particular opinions on things matter so much as just seeming decent, you know, and like someone that they could hang out with. I think that's more like more important than how you might think about this school board issue in your town. Like, it doesn't matter. I think it matters. It's like, that guy seems cool. I'll watch another video.
So I feel bad because I feel like I just took us off the rails or whatever from, but I do feel like it ties into, I think that collector markets are really important, and I'm curious about it because I know there are collectors of like super indie stuff, like alternative indie, because like there's
a lot.
So there's guys who are like
dedicated to it.
Yeah, and you know, but then like even within the indie world, there's like the kind of Fantagraphics crowd, right? And and then there's, you know, there's kind of divisions in taste which by the way, like most people who love comics, love all comics, but still, it's like, there's people who are like really dipping their toes, like really knee deep in like the Drawn and Quarterly, like Fantagraphics, like all comics thing. And then there's people like knee deep in like in Image and like that kind of thing. And there's overlap, but it's like, for me, I'm curious about the collectors that would be like buying like Chris Ware stuff, and like where do you find it? It's actually a really cool thing that you brought up, because it's like, it's actually communities I haven't even really looked for. And yet I am a person who like, I've got shelves full of graphic novels. So it's like, that makes sense,
Josh also has binders full of women, so there's shelves.
Binders full of women. That's a deep cut. I'm gonna say 2 people will know what you're referring to.
Josh,
no, but Squatch also has helped me through knowing him and getting to know him and getting to know his friends and going on like, the channel and with Foo and that kind of stuff. It's made me aware, even though I guess I might have known this in the back of my head, it made me more consciously aware of the fact that I have no sense of what my audience is. That I make a comic that feels right to me, feels good to me, that I'm happy with, and then I put it out there, and I have no sense of how to pitch it or who would want it, like at all. Yeah. I mean, I can come up with ideas, but I have no idea. Through catering to, like, through reaching out to the collector community, the reader community, the consuming comic book collector, I've realized that a lot of people who are buying the comic and love the comic and will buy multiple copies of the comic and talk about the comic with their friends and get me more sales are people I never would have imagined would have been into it. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of, I still don't know what to do with that information other than the realization that I don't think you can intellectualize who you're marketing to. I think you kind of have to release it in the wild and see who's buying it.
Just like Stevie that sent you that shirt. I mean, that guy, he saw the radio get invented. I never,
because where is he? He's in like Kentucky or something.
I mean, that old of a man, like the fact that he's still alive.
Okay, but you know what? He's not that old, but he's older than I would have imagined my demographic was. And he's from a part of the country that I wouldn't have imagined would care about like my weird hipster comic. And like, there's a lot of things where it's like, oh, well, this is eye-opening, And
dude,
also and that like, is a lot of women buy Dinosaurs versus Mars.
Yeah, I just had one hit me up today.
It's like, okay, that's cool.
She said, oh, by the way, I was able to get, it's not going to show up on the screen. I was able to get a copy of Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots. I'm really excited to read it.
There you go. Awesome.
Yeah. And for those out in the audience, don't forget you can save a Boy Scout by getting your own copy.
In all this levity, let's not forget the real heroes.
Yes.
But I love that you brought up that it's not quite what you expect. And I actually figured some of that out, and I'm still learning, but it's like, I remember the first time kind of boothing at like Alternative Press Expo. And this was like back in the day, like they used to have it in like San Francisco and like a specific area. I think they've moved it. But it's like my first time there, the people who bought stuff from my booth were not the people I would have like picked. Not that I would have picked people, but it's just like, again, like very much like you described, where it's like, somebody who's older than the market I would have thought, or somebody, but from that, I've realized that like there are comic fans all over the place. And like, I mean, if you think about it, like Robert Crumb is a best-selling author. So there's a bunch of like, there's a vast amount of people who like Robert Crumb's work who, would probably not look like the type of person who'd be into Robert Crumb. I don't know if that makes sense.
Right.
Like, I don't
know. I totally know what you mean. Well, I always imagined, I think I probably said this on Artcasters when we've talked about like, who do you think your audience, or thinking about the audience when you're doing your work. My audience is me. I write the comic I would want to read.
Yeah.
So then I guess
you're not your target audience, and that's something I say all the time, and that's I think what we're talking about, because people think, oh,
Yeah.
well, I wouldn't pay that much for this book, but that doesn't mean other
Right.
people won't. Or,
Yeah.
but I think it goes beyond. I mean, there's sure you don't want to sell it to other creators, you sell it to comic fans, but it even goes beyond that, niching down further, because if you sell a comic based on Sasquatch, you don't want to just market it to people that collect comics. You want to market it to people that are into Sasquatch. For you, Gary, that's people who are into X-Files. It's people who are into like Pulp
and
Fiction.
UFO stuff, and
So that's and
that
same for me. People that are into 80s action adventure films starring kids who like Goonies
and Walking Dead.
So when I promoted my stuff, I went on to like 80s podcasts, and people who are fans of like Monster Squad and all that kind of stuff. And I need to double down and do more of that. But I mean, it's really, what's your comic book about? Not that it's just a comic book, but what is that comic book about? So Squatchy, how do you dive down and niche down and find particular groups of people that are into your stuff?
Well, with Bigfoot, I mean, I've been doing a podcast with a friend of mine for years that we review Bigfoot movies. So we have a huge fandom of people that watch Bigfoot movies. And you know what? This is probably going to be the first time for Foo has they've even heard of that, because I never wanted him to go and troll me while I was live with my friend. So
Foo, now's your chance. Now's your chance for some payback, Foo.
But
here's an example. We were talking about this in the beginning of the show, of just how to do this, because I publish books on KDP, and I've got, let me see, I showed this one earlier. Except, where's that one? All right. Sorry, where did I put that? Oh, here it is. Okay, so I'll just show this here. So I do all kinds of stuff that I don't necessarily talk about on my channel or whatever, but I've got this.
Wait. We got to YouTube this up. This is an exclusive, you guys.
Exclusive.
Some of this has never been seen.
I think I may have shown this before in a video, but I'm just
saying what you're about to see may not have been seen, and if it has been seen, this is still pretty awesome and special. So pay attention, you guys. It's a big reveal.
So there's a lesson to be learned here. So a marketing lesson to be learned here. So I create these books, and it's pretty simple. It's just a daily log. If you're in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, you write the day that you're in the apocalypse, and it's got all this stuff. You can put your provisions, you can put the types of zombies, your spots that you're spotting, your arsenal, people you meet along the way, your group, all that provision, all that kind of stuff, confirmed kills. So, and it's just that, and it just kind of repeats through the whole book. But it's a lot, and it's kind of tongue in cheek. But I guess if there was an actual zombie apocalypse, that might come in handy. But it's a good gag gift, or just for somebody who's into zombies. But I also have a book like this. It's a tracker. It's for tracking for Sasquatch. So before the show,
I can't believe I've never heard.
Yeah, well, that's partially my problem, but I'm going to rectify that. And so I mentioned this. At the end of the show, I'm going to get Squatch's contact information, and I'm just going to send him a copy of that book. And and if he likes it, I'm sure he's going to share it with his community. So that's what you need to do, is find the community, find these niche communities, whatever in particular the comic book's about. Now, if you're just a straight superhero comic, that might be difficult because there's so many other superheroes. But if you have something particular like Gary, where it's very much in the vein of like a Pulp Fiction or X-Files, there are fans of that may not even read comics. I mean, you can sell a comic book that of a particular niche to somebody who that may be their first comic.
That's what, you know what's funny? I've had a bunch, actually, and I really, really value this. I've had a bunch of people tell me, especially the female readers, I've never read a comic before, but I read yours and I loved it. Yeah. And it makes me feel great, because it's like, that's awesome that I can get out of like someone who just reads comics all the time. But at the same time, that is the toughest audience to get. Like, I have no idea how to act on that knowledge, of someone like, I never read comics usually, but I like yours. It's like, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know.
Exactly what Scott was saying. Like just applying it to that niche. Like, and if you're gonna do it, look up the tags. Like, type in all of it and follow it. When someone posts something that looks interesting, go like them, follow them, leave them a comment. They're gonna be so damn like, because like, I mean, you know, like depending on the person, like they may not have 16,000 followers or something like that, so they're gonna be cool and happy that someone's interacting with them, so they're gonna be interested in you and check 100%. You out. And with the niche thing, that works out great because I'm for sure gonna show everyone the Bigfoot stuff, and I come from a community from a long time ago that used to go out looking for them, and so a tracking guide is something that they will buy their kids, they'll buy themselves. You know what I mean? And it's something that, you know, that will be Christmas gifts to that community and birthday gifts. Like, anytime I see something like that, some kind of like, well, I collect Bigfoot, so, but like, I'll grab, like, at the store not too long ago, there was these little things that were just joke slime that said Squatch poo. And I sent them to my friends, you know, like just friends from the comic community and stuff like that, and just as a joke, you know. But like, people will buy those little novelty things because I know you've done some of that stuff with your mad science stuff too. And I mean, those collectors are the same ones. It's collectors. It's just not creators.
I've got a whole stock of that slime and stuff that I could just rebrand and stuff like that. I mean,
But also, what you could do, some fan people are doing it. Like if you, I know that everybody looks at cons a different way, but with them coming back and everything, with this whole Venom carnage going on, you can make your little vial red and black with some slime in there. Throw some kind of scientific-y, you know, symbiote thing on there and it's fan art still, you know. So it's like, and people buy that shit up. Like, I mean, there's this one comic right now, there's a controversy going on because they made a mask of the character and people are just, oh yeah. Yeah, in my mystery boxes, I like to include
I think I had some of those Harry and Henderson's ones.
Yeah, this is one's open. But yeah, I include some Squatch swag.
Wow, you have I love that you have it at the ready, like right there next to your desk.
Well,
I like that it's a wax pack. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and 30-something-year-old gum, and some of these guys, they're opening their mystery boxes and they ate the gum. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, and I got a sale on one of my mystery boxes if I went live and ate the gum. So I was like, hey, fuck it, you know, like I'll do that for a sale. You know.
So when you make the mystery boxes, do you have to like put in a little disclaimer, like if you eat the gum,
don't eat the gum.
Start seeing things.
Well, now now it's become just this thing where everybody, if they're new to it, they tell them that you got to eat the gum, like you're not a member of the club.
So everything you're describing,
if it was new, I might chew the gum, but I would.
Oh, it's horrible. It's so bad.
Everything you're describing though is like so fundamental and also super important for even getting a publisher, and that's something a lot of people don't realize too. It's like,
but also what you said. What you said about publishers, it's really good, and I wish I had a publisher for my book and stuff. And that it is good to have and get your books throughout stores too. But publishers, unless you're making them millions right off the bat, they're not promoting you. And they're not bringing you fans.
Like, you're gonna have to do that legwork anyway. Yeah. And here's the thing: to get a publisher, like especially if you go the literary agent route, you have to like sell twice as much because you have to sell to get a literary agent. And what you're doing is you're giving them a pitch, and what you're breaking down for them when you give them the pitch or like the proposal for the book you want them to represent. Much less if you want them to represent you, which is even harder, right? Because then they need to think you have more than just one good book. But what you're giving them is the log line. You're giving them what the back of the book's going to say. You're giving them what your target market is. You're giving them like how you're going to promote the book, like what niche audiences are going to be into this. And so like thinking about this kind of stuff is not like this crazy thing. It's like, it's fundamental. Because at the end of the day, like, again, like if you're doing graphic novels, who do you really need? You need, you're right, like collectors, but like almost more, like at least with the book market, almost more important than collectors, librarians. And what do librarians like? Stories. And if you can't sell librarians on stories, most librarians are not making stories. They just love books. And they're the biggest advocates for books. And they will buy in bulk, and they will get them listed, and they will get they will, if enough librarians, like if Publishers, Publishers Weekly gives you a review and you get a star on it, your book's going to sell like hotcakes just from one little star and one review. Why is that? Because librarians love books. And then they start hyping a book, and then the media gets in on it. And then your average Joe is reading, comic book resources or whatever, comes across it because it got to comic book resources because of that. So it's like everything you're talking about is so important. Niching down is important. It's hard when you have books that are a little outside of the norm.
Yeah, but see, with your book, it's not outside of the norm.
It's not.
Your book caters to every single person in every audience. A person that collects Wolverine and Thor, they still grew up. They still had a childhood and dealt with the same kind of things that you went through and stuff like that. Not the same, but different. But everybody had those experiences. So reading a story like that, there's a huge market for it. A Thor fan, a Aliens fan is still going to buy that book. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just a matter of, I don't know, like not just looking, you want a niche, but also don't stick to it that hard because Gary was saying you'd be surprised at your fans.
That's what I'm finding. It's like you'll be surprised where you'll find a sale. And the only thing that you can count on is it's not going to be where you thought.
Yeah. But it'll stay consistent.
Being a little surprised by who's picking up my books.
And you build a just through doing that, posting little bits of my work here and there, it built a fandom. And right now, awesome. There's only a certain amount of people that are fans, but that's how you start. And it's how you build your empire.
No, don't diminish it either. Yeah, don't diminish it either, because here's the thing, okay, so if you're a tattoo artist, you're making a living doing art, right? Mm-hmm. If you're an artist doing sketch covers and that's how you're making your nut that you need for to provide for yourself, dude, congrats, you're a successful artist. There is no in my opinion, for somebody to be a successful artist, it doesn't mean you have to have some kind of magic seal or a certain audience. It's if you have enough to make your thing work and be able to make a living off of it, congratulations, and so I honestly think sketch cover hustle's smart, man. That's a good way to do it. It's a way for you to express yourself, to draw stuff you love, and to be able to grow an audience that can promote your own personal work. I think it's brilliant,
and it worked, it worked for me.
It's incredible.
I don't want to take all the credit for it working out for me, because really I owe it to the community. And I was telling you earlier, and Scott was saying also, to spend a certain amount of time promoting, you can turn it into where you're just shooting the shit with your friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I got group chats where we've got a bunch of people in it, and just it's an ongoing conversation that you never would have been able to carry before. But and everybody talks, they collect different things. If you post something, they ask you, "Hey, can you share this for me?" Everyone does it. It's like a little, everybody's helping each other out. And let me tell you, man, after dealing with the tattoo community, the cutthroat, the backstabbing, and everything, discovering the comic book community, and I said it earlier, I don't know what my life would be like if I would have found it a lot sooner, and didn't waste so much time tattooing. I imagine I would have already have more books out and, evolved as an artist, because the support you get from everyone, when you start showing them your stuff, show them what you collect too. Show them that you're one of them. You know what I mean?
That's
'Cause
something
people-
he's emphasized a lot too. Is like you should talk about the books you're reading,
and
you
that,
know?
and that's another reason why I was like, hey, we should have you on our mystery box show, because me and Foo, on Foo's channel we have what's called the Mystery Men. We open up a mystery box where you get 5 different comic books, and you know, there's worth to the books and stuff like that. You get introduced to a whole bunch of books you never knew. And that's how our whole friendship and all this community started, was because we were chasing a book in one of these mystery boxes. Yeah, I ended up winning the book, I might add.
Rubbing it in there.
Yeah, Foo hates that. And it's been our grudge ever since.
Wait, Foo, that's the furry guy, right?
Yeah,
That
that's the furry. Yeah.
I feel so bad. I don't know, Foo.
Oh, he embraces it. He's in there saying, did somebody say nut? He knows he's a squirrel.
But I was gonna say, because you mentioned that, you know, you've got you've got the small community, but I just did a video talking about how it's really not the size of the community, it's how engaged those community members are.
Oh,
And it's a two-way street, like you said. If you're engaged, they're engaged. You could have a very small community and it could still be a win-win situation for everyone involved.
They all have mouths.
Yeah.
They all have hands, most of them, you know, and they will share that information.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
not this kid.
Not that kid. He didn't make it.
No hands anymore. It's very sad. Bye.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, his mouth might be. Yeah, his mouth might be gone too soon. So you guys save the children.
He might be able to mumble it out. You know?
Yeah, it's sad.
But I mean, they're the people that will sell your stuff for you. And like with the mystery boxes that I do, I include my sketch covers and throw in some extra books and stuff, because there's a huge market for mystery boxes. Like, people love to gamble, you know, and so does the comic collecting community, or the collectible community, you can say.
And I have to be honest, like, something I did not even know existed until we started talking. And then I started kind of following like your friends and getting a little involved. And I was like, this mystery box thing it's this huge. Massive thing that I didn't even know.
There's companies that were formed that now own bigger companies that are selling exclusives. They're selling high-end boxes, and there's some people that will, like, there's a guy, Comic Tom. He's really popular. He reviews comic books. He does his own mystery mailer every month, sends out a mystery box and everything. But like, because of him, and I'm sure other people will argue, but because of him and his podcast and everything, Peach Momoko became a worldwide known name as a cover artist, and now she's got deals with, you know, Marvel, and just, you couldn't go into a comic shop without Peach Momoko being anywhere. She started just like one of us, doing a little exclusive, and then just one person saw her work and everybody just fell in love with it. It's just being exposed, but then also having people, because what's going to make people buy it too is the fans going, yes, I love this, I ordered mine. And then someone else is going to be in the comment, oh, I need to get one. And if they see a whole bunch of people saying, oh, I got mine, your community's backing you up, and then it's going to snowball effect.
Well,
people are going to go, oh, that's what's cool. Okay, I'm going to check that out, you know. And
that's it. I mean, like Chris Ward used to say all the time to me, it's like nothing draws a crowd like a crowd. You know, like if you start like just seeing activity, you're like, I need to get in on this. You know,
well, you can see it in action at a convention.
Yeah, people are around a table. It's like, I guess I should see what's over there. Yeah.
And it's that small community that you start out with that are going to have your backs, and that is going to be doing that for you. That's why I added everybody in the book, not just to sell the book, but just, you know, they were the ones commenting on it, saying, that's funny, like, you should do this one. And, you know, like, and turned into a book, and now, you know, more people are asking to be in it. And it's like, do you not see what I do to people in this thing? Like,
well, I feel like I kind of feel like Josh lobbied to be in it. That was sort of my impression. I think Josh was feeling left out and kind of wanted to.
I was
But-
I love the idea of community-based things, and that's one of the reasons it's like it's super awesome to be in something like that or be a part of something like that. But it's also smart promotion on your end too, because it's like, dude, we like literally want to promote it because we're in it. That gives us an attachment to it. And then aside from that, like, it's funny. It is funny.
Yeah.
And I think your approach is awesome. I mean, I definitely know that, like, without solicitation or anything, like, you've reached out to me and been like, hey, like, I watched that video on your comics and you could probably flip some of those, you know, and gave me some tips and stuff. And it's like, that was totally unsolicited. And, you know, does build a rapport, because it's like there was no like sale attached to it, but it definitely makes me want to support your stuff. And so it's like, I think that you're right. Like, those little connections,
just one little thing can change a person's day. Just,
for sure.
If they posted something they bought off of you and you share it to your story, that can make that person's day. Like, oh man, that was cool that he shared that, and then you know he'll tell someone, yeah, he shared my post. That's cool, you know. Like, it's like I'm not popular in any, you know, like. Yeah, there's Gary hiding in the bushes, spreading conspiracies.
That's right. There I am.
I absolutely like. I really will say, like, you guys should pick up this comic. Obviously, pick up Dinosaurs versus Marsbots as well, because who wants so many Boy Scouts to die? You guys, come on.
Don't forget about this kid.
Well, unless you are the community that wants the Boy Scouts to die, you can buy it too, and then we can just.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what side of the Boy Scout being stepped on issue you're on, this.
I mean, we're already halfway there. We're stomping on them and chasing.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to save the Scout, buy the book. If you kind
of
want
that foot to just step a little harder,
buy the book. Yeah, like whatever. Yeah, it's.
Either way, you're fulfilling something by doing it.
You're getting something out of it. You're getting a payoff.
By the way, I just wanted to know from Scott, like, did you mention how people can locate that zombie survival book that you were showing?
Yeah, it's kind of it's a little difficult. I mean, you might be able to. I mean, you may be able to search for it. I can get. Let's see what I'm trying to remember the publisher name. I think it's published under Side Pocket Press, and it's on Amazon. If you type in "Zombie Apocalypse Survival Journal," that hopefully you can find it. I don't.
So you guys can hunt down that rare exclusive too. So that's good.
Yeah, and kind of going back to the variant cover thing. There's a couple different covers to it. You know. Let's see. So
I thought I heard some mention of like a UFO tracking guide. I think I could use one of those.
I do have a UFO one too. I've got an extraterrestrial. If you've been abducted by an alien, it lists all the different. Yeah, I've got that too.
Is it useful?
Did they do this to you?
The same brand. I think they're all under the same brand. So
is the UFO book? Is that helpful if like you're possibly like crushed to death when you're a Boy Scout? By
is there an entry? Can you?
There's a place where you can write. Yeah, you can write.
You can put in
the interaction and everything.
I saw a Martian warbot and it stepped on me.
Yeah,
every book comes with gauze and a suture kit.
Yeah.
So Squatch, I'm fascinated by like the change that this has done for you, because I've known tattoo artists, I've had a couple buddies from art school too who did the apprenticing and worked their way up, and it is like really cutthroat and really hard. Hard to
2.5 years of apprenticing before you can even call yourself an artist. So I don't even count those when I tell people how long I've tattooed, because you're a shit rat for 2.5 years.
I had no idea. I kind of want to hear cutthroat tattoo artist stories now. I didn't realize it was that shitty.
People steal your work, steal your designs, and they could be famous. It's all about with the tattoo community, their follower count matters more to people than their work or how it healed, or like a lot of people got famous real quick and no one ever talked about what their tattoos look like afterwards, because you could be looking at a nice portrait but then 4 days later that portrait ain't looking like that no more, like,
oh no.
and it's like all these shows made it worse. Like it just
Oh yeah.
Miami Ink and then LA Ink and then the Ink Master shows, they portrayed tattoo artists not how it is in a shop. And tattooing, I mean, unless you're a world famous tattoo artist or a sponsored artist, you are grinding from the morning until the dawn, and you're living tattoo to tattoo. You're most of the time, and because you're living this lifestyle, like, I mean, you're up all night. You're probably getting intoxicated to keep yourself going. Like you fall into this like weird depression where you're not depressed, but you're stuck in this kind of shit. Like you got into it to do art, but you're spending your days writing Moreno or like I Love Steve or
that was the like every friend I've had who does tattoos, that was the part that bummed them out, was like there's the glamorous, it's kind of similar to like somebody for the first time working in like an art department, where it's like, everybody has this glamorous vision of what you're doing, and then a lot of the times it's not the sexy stuff. Like the bulk of it is like, do this very boring thing that looks terrible, and you're like, but it looks terrible, and the client's like, yeah, that's what I want. And you're like, okay.
And depending on your location, you will be doing the same thing every day multiple times, and it gets annoying, like, because as an artist you want to create some art. You don't want to sit and do lettering all day long. And if you're in SoCal, you're going to be doing lettering all day long. And when it comes in the door, you're grumpy. So that's why a majority of tattoo artists have a reputation of being an asshole. They're not an asshole. It's most of the tattoo artists you'll ever meet will be the sweetest people in the world if you're getting art.
Yeah.
But if you come in and you're getting the girls coming in getting the Pinterest tattoos, that every girl has a picture where they all are taking the same selfie and they got the little blow freaking flower, the same live, laugh, love, just all this. The infinity knot was one that it almost made me quit. Like way early. Like the infinity knot, I've probably done thousands.
Is the infinity knot like the Comic Sans of tattoos?
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. And you'd be surprised, like even to this day, I talk with my buddy that I just was working with for the past 3 years. Still to this day, that comes in the door. You
must have mastered the poker face. Because if someone comes in, it's like, so this is what I want, and they're showing you the picture of the infinity knot.
I'm the worst. He made it like once I've worked at a shop long enough, they say, okay, Wes, just stay in your room if someone wants to talk to you. Because I'll instantly start talking them out of it. If they're trying to get their boyfriend's name, I will start talking them out of it right away.
That's smart.
And if they come in with their boyfriend and he's the one talking for them and they're getting the tattoo, I'll make them leave.
Yeah.
Good.
Because you're forcing this girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if she can't speak,
she's not allowed to speak. 8 months from now, you're going to be broken up.
Let me tell you, but you deal with that community, everyone's out for themselves. Even the people you work with. You will work with people that will steal your stuff. And there's nothing you can really do. You can fight.
Also, even the structure of the shops themselves, like, kind of create like a very tense situation. Because, like, from what I understand, like most of the guys are like kind of making like, so a lot of your tattooing, like while you're working long hours, is like you have to make a certain amount just to like make your section of the shop.
Just to pay your blueprint. Yeah.
Is it like is it the same as like a
Booth rents every
stylist?
day.
Like, do you rent a chair? Is that what's
Yeah,
happening?
well, I mean, depending on the shop, you can find a shop that will 1099 you as an employee,
Okay.
but you'll still be pulling in and paying a percentage. You can find a shop where you're just paying a percentage. So, like, they'll start you out. Most shops, if they don't know you or know your name, you're going to start paying them 50-50 right off the bat.
Wow.
Like, you know, so, like, and then you work your way up. If you spend enough time in a shop and it's ran by a person who was a tattooer and not someone that just wanted to open up a tattoo shop, your percentage will change
Okay.
because they'll see what you're bringing in the door. Because like one artist will be paying the bills there, you know. But like you have to make your work speak for itself, and same with the comic world. The work has to be good to have a fan. So as long as it's good enough to have a fan, you know, with tattooing, like how they didn't want me talking to the people when they came in, I had enough people seeing my work online and on Instagram and then word of mouth that, you know, I had enough good pieces out there where people were like, oh, go see Squatchy, you know, go see Squat.
Yeah.
But
no, that makes perfect sense, man.
That's interesting.
It's not a profession I would ever recommend someone do. Ever. Because I don't know. I wish I found the comic community a lot sooner. I'd probably be like 200 pounds lighter.
It depends.
Rings
though,
on all my fingers. Like Gary would be working for me making Dinosaurs vs. Mars Bots all day, and I'd have a whip and lights.
I'd have a sponsor. It'd be like the Middle Ages. I'd have a wealthy
it'd be like a sweatshop, and
Gary will never appear on stream again after that.
No.
He's just working. So I think like it's a mixed bag though, right? Because like I feel like we've all had that like crap art job, you know, like and don't get me wrong, like I can't imagine when it comes to permanent tattoos, like how complicated and annoying like the dynamics could get,
dealing
you know,
with permanent.
know,
like
you're doing this to
there's
their
no
body.
going back. You can't hit the back button or like erase that.
I've done bad graphic design work I wasn't proud of, and I hated the client, but they didn't have to live with it for the rest of their lives.
You know what I mean? You put out enough of those, you won't have that job anymore. You know what I mean? No one will want a tattoo from you. Like, there's a guy in this town he works out of his house and he puts designs. Oh, it gives me a migraine, and every other real artist a migraine. He puts designs that just like if you have a face, it needs to be facing forward, or if like you know, like certain things like the flag, like you got to know where the certain things go. Like and just he does them facing the opposite way, and it's just it's like when you look at it on the body, it's just like oh my god, like oh that's the biggest no, you know. And this guy's still making money because he's huge on Instagram. Huge, you know.
That is so fascinating.
I feel like
I feel like a situation like that though, like must make you appreciate the fan base to a level you like. Sometimes I wonder if you inherited that earlier, would you appreciate it as much? You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard
well,
to
yeah,
know.
that is true because maybe if this happened and I evolved further, I might be a jerk.
I mean, I talk about my past life as like just a graphic designer and you know, writer for hire, illustrator for hire, like it was my Vietnam. But I know it was important. Like I know it helped me figure out what I did and didn't want to do, and it helped me figure out, you know, like what kind of I think I needed to go through all that, you know. So maybe you had to go through the tattoo thing, but
have to experience hell to know what heaven is, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah. It worked out though.
Yeah, and honestly, you probably picked up a lot about hustle from that too. So
yeah. Like and lighting a fire under other people's asses. You know what I mean? Like because I'm constantly on Gary. You know?
Yes. Yeah. Anyone in the chat knows if I'm
Yeah.
on there. It's always
Yeah. No matter what you're doing, if you post on Instagram a little too much, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like why are you? Oh, I remember toward the end of actually writing this one, doing this one, I had been drawing for more than a year, and I was getting fried, and I was doing a lot of like mental health retro video game playing, and I would do like a screen cap of whatever old Nintendo game I was playing, and I'd share it on Facebook. And every time you were like, why are you playing this garbage when you could be working on your comic? Like you were always like right there. It was like you had alerts set up. Anytime I posted anything, like you knew, like in 5 minutes, you were anytime I saw an alert on like I had posted some video game picture and I saw an alert, I was like, that has to be Squatch.
You're onto something. Okay. You're onto something. And you're exposing a truth that you need to know it's real, all right? And we implanted something in you, okay? So I know what you're doing always.
Okay. All right. Now that all makes sense. Yeah.
No, but I mean, like I'm messing with you 30%. The rest of it, I really do want you to get back to work.
Oh, I know. No, believe me. I know there's like a serious helping of truth in your thinking where you're like pissing him off.
You got.
He would really like this comic to be done in half the time.
Oh, but it's just, oh man! From the first second I read 75, I've hounded you. From the second I read it, the way you put it together, everything you did, down to the art and how it's done, it's so unique, and it's I always go back to Pulp Fiction and just the dialogue of those movies, that style of movie and everything, and like even like a Guy Ritchie feel to it, to the way that you lay out scenes and stuff, to where it's like you have gold. And I think the reason why we're not seeing you on Netflix right now is because we haven't exposed you to the comic community as much.
Wow.
You're around a bunch of creators that they, like everyone wants to see their friends make it, but like, the comic community, like when they see that, like, and I told you, I'm still working on my little care package for the CEO of Image.
So,
I'm working on a little care package and a pitch, and I'm going to send them some of the books I've bought, because it's something that I'm telling you, artists will be fucking dying to do an exclusive, like how Scott did Ice Cream Man. Ice Cream Man's huge. It's huge. Right. People love that book. And Department of Truth right now.
Yeah, Department of Truth.
I don't even want to admit how much money I spent on the Sasquatch covers, all the exclusives, because I collect that.
I can guess. Yeah.
It's insane how many exclusives are done. But that your book is that.
Well,
that book.
I can only handle so many compliments. Thank you very much.
You should know better.
I appreciate it so much, and I appreciate you so much as a fan. But this is also, I think this is like exactly what I wanted to talk about tonight is, the testimonial of a fan who doesn't have a stake is worth way more than if I had come on and said, like, this is a great comic, you're going to love it, you should read it, it's so good. Like everyone knows, like I have an angle. This is why it's valuable, I think, to start like ingratiating yourself to the community.
But also, like, you had the Phoenix Comic-Con covers, and you had those errors. Those error covers, you had, like, I don't know how many of them. But I did a painting for you and got a bunch of the covers, and I put them in my mystery boxes. And I left a little note, this is the best comic book you'll ever read in your life. And so it just spread throughout the community through my mystery boxes. It was just an extra book in there. I marked it $10 value for them, because they like to see their value with certain books that they get.
Yeah, so
know?
just to stop you, for people who might not know. So when I was getting ready to go to the last convention I attended, I had the pulp version of D vs. M 1975, a different pulp, and I placed the order.
Wait a second, is this one of the
It's in the
ones
pair.
that you're
Yeah.
selling in a
So like
pair?
if you go to my Etsy shop, yeah, you can still now it's like the last 5 or 6 copies of the 75 edition. But so I had bought a bunch of those for Phoenix Comic Con for like to get me through the whole convention. And the order showed up and I took a look at it and realized I had set the print file wrong on one particular page, and it was cropped wrong. It was cropped like right along the side of the panels. That's like a side thing. I called up Comics Wellspring, the people who do my printing. I fully admitted, like, look, this is not your error. This is mine. Like, I screwed up. But I'm going to a convention next week and I'm screwed. I'm sitting on a pile of screwed up comics. Could you give me like some kind of a break on a reorder or something? Like, please help me out. And it was the most amazing customer service. They basically is like, look, we'll just charge you like cost to reprint and like ship them. Like, it was like, can you pick up the shipping? We'll figure it out. Like, they give me this sweet deal just because they're awesome. So Comics Wellspring fan for life. I'm an evangelist for Comics Wellspring, just as Squatch is an evangelist.
Hey, but you recommended them. I loved the quality.
The quality's great.
That they did, and so I used them for Squatchy and Foo.
Yeah,
and I've gotten a lot of people saying they love the quality. So
the quality's great. So I was sitting on like 100 copies of a book I didn't want to charge money for, because there was one page was cropped wrong and I didn't want that. Well, I told you about it and you were like, send them all to me. I'll throw them in mystery boxes. And so I ordered 100 stickers that said, hey, there's a minor misprint on this. It's not for resale. Hope you enjoy it and hope you buy like my next book, and like slapped that on the inside of every cover, sent them all to Squatch. Squatch threw them in mystery boxes. And I got a bunch of new fans just who, they read 75 for free and were like, this is awesome. And they showed up for 97.
And there's a lot of collectors that will want the misprint.
They'll want the weird one.
No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I've got 5 of them. I know.
Yeah.
Because
a lot of people
when this shit goes to Netflix or HBO, I'm sitting on a good stack.
I have the weird misprint version, the rare misprint. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. So.
Yeah, you see that even because I watch a lot of action figure content and stuff. And if there's something that's messed up or whatever, I mean, that's the stuff that people go crazy for. Just this these oddities.
But again, like, not being a collector, I didn't appreciate. I remember when I was talking about with Squatch, it's like, I guess I'll just shred these, and he lost his mind. He was like, "What are you talking?" Like, I was like, "But they're defective." He's like, "No. Send them to me. I'll take care." And it's
promotion. It was 100 things of promotion.
But it's a good like creator versus collector mentality. As a creator, I was like, it's imperfect. Like, it's garbage.
Yeah.
But that's not how a collector saw it.
Yeah. No.
So I do kind of want to get Cory's take because, like, I don't think he's gotten a word in edgewise.
He's been doing
he's in there making an awesome animation.
Pretty cool animation, though.
Yeah, pretty amazing animation. But Cory, like, you ran like a whole marketing department, and so like, from a marketing perspective, like, is there like terminology we're not using for what Squatch has kind of arrived at?
Yeah, because I don't use words good.
Yeah, well, I don't know either,
right.
And I'm kind of curious. And you usually are pretty familiar with that kind of thing, so I don't know.
There's a very old book called. Well, I mean, very old. There's an old book for marketing because marketing books change every 6 months. But there's one called Guerrilla Marketing, and this kind of sounds like guerrilla marketing, where instead of doing the newest and shiniest thing, you're doing kind of the one-on-one type of like man on the street stuff. Yeah. And so like guerrilla marketing is like the concept is like one-to-one relationships rather than like kind of trying to hit numbers. Am I muted?
No, you're fine.
No.
Frank is saying I'm muted.
It's Frank being Frank. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it's technically guerrilla marketing, but it is similar to that. Chris Do talks about relationship marketing like this a lot, where you're doing that, or even Sean Wes, Sean McCabe from the Sean Wes podcast. He would talk a lot about like use social media as if you're talking to a single person, rather than using social media as if you're talking to the masses. And his big thing was like, social media isn't a mass communication. Social media is a remote one-to-one communication. So that's kind of what it sounds like. What I would do, I was just talking about this today with some students, is instead of guessing what people want, you become your audience. So like the old phrase that Scott mentioned earlier of like, you're not your target audience. That's true generally speaking, but you can become your target audience. And so like when I was going to launch a line of ukuleles, before the ukulele booms, it was right after this documentary came out that mentioned that George Harrison wrote a lot of the Beatles songs on a ukulele first before he did it on a guitar. And then Jake Shimabukuro did this viral YouTube cover of While My Guitar Gently Weeps on a soprano ukulele. And Julia Nunes was covering like pop songs on ukuleles. I saw those three things happen, and I was like, a year from now, we need our own production of ukuleles, because this is going to be huge. And so I was able to read that market just because I was on YouTube, right? And I kind of knew what was going on. But before anybody spent a dime, I went and hung out with a bunch of ukulele players in New York. Like we went to like, I convinced, my CFO, I was like, listen, my marketing team needs to become ukulele players before we do this. And so they sent us to like the New York Ukulele Festival. We went to like, and we hung out. I remember I was in the basement. I don't drink or smoke or do drugs or anything, but I was in the basement of this just weird, I don't even know where it was because I don't know New York that well, but like it seemed like a weird scene out of a movie. It was like 3 a.m. and like everybody is getting wasted in this basement building. I think of a restaurant that we kind of just, somebody knew somebody. And like my luthier leaned over to me and he said, those are the 3 best ukulele players in the world. Like right there that we're like jamming with right now. And so anyway, like long story short, we launched as a guitar brand, we launched a ukulele line at the same time as Fender and Taylor. And Fender and Taylor got lambasted. They got thrashed by uke players because they marketed ukuleles as if they were little guitars.
Yeah.
And that's massively offensive to like ukulele players. Whereas
and I remember, I think Fender's whole campaign was like, it's Hawaiian, which is like, come on.
Right. Yeah, it's actually Puerto Rican.
Yeah, I know, but I remember their ads
right.
when they launched those ukes. It was all like hula girls, which is cool and retro, but still, like I don't think that's gonna hit most.
Well, and they even like didn't understand how the instruments worked. Like they put steel strings on them without a truss rod and stuff. And we're like, it's like a 10-inch long neck, and you just put like a massively. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But the point is, you're not your target audience, but you can become your target audience. So what Squatch is talking about is interesting because I think you've become it. Like you didn't like. You weren't opportunistic. You didn't like seek out like, how am I going to like manipulate this group and leverage this, whatever. And you're not using like, ukulele.
I just shared my art.
Can I say ukulele players party weird? I would say that's more accurate than party hard. It's like the coolest group of people and the most accepting group of people, unless you tell them that they are playing a little guitar, and then they will waste you. But like you got into there because you were interested, and then also were an artist.
Yeah.
And so because you're like, part of that thing. Yeah. So I mean that's where that kind of authenticity comes from. And the point of my big long rambly story was as a little guy, you know, in the middle of Idaho, I was able to take on one of the largest conglomerates in the music industry and beat them in sales for a short period of time because I became the target audience and I made my marketing team. I mean, we started like a ukulele club where like we met every Thursday and we'd like jam out and like play songs and stuff.
Did you guys post to social media? What social?
This was 12
it
years ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it might have been.
kind of before?
yeah, it was
MySpace
like
was big.
Facebook
Well, that
was
would've put you
MySpace
around-
was fading out and Facebook was a thing, but like they hadn't bought Instagram yet or anything like that. And so
2000.
so we did post
Or
let's see. Yeah, roughly. I mean, we did post to social media. Like
Fine,
what we
would've
actually
been-
did is there were some forums that were called Ukulele Underground that were really
Mhm.
popular. And so we ran some contests on those forums and gave away some ukuleles. And it was called, and I will not tell you what that contest is called because there are some massively embarrassing videos where I am doing dumb things to, you know, kind of be part of the community. But we would do like, we do these contests where we would give away ukuleles if you covered songs. So that's like last week we were joking about Fat Bottom Girls, but there's this incredible cover that this girl did on a ukulele of Fat Bottom Girls. It's like an earworm that will never go away. And so we were of that time's social media, like we were doing the forums and the things like that.
You probably would have made even more of a killing if you guys played little snippets on Vine. Vine was real popular around then. It has now become TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what year this was because I worked there for about 6 or 7 years.
I'd forgotten about Vine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Vine
Vine. Periscope
started a lot of $1 million companies.
Yeah, we did a little bit on Periscope, and we did like Meek Rat was a thing, and then we were also a lot of it was on YouTube. There's this community of ukulele players that get together and they cover each other's covers, and they'll rewrite and remix things, and they'll post like tabs, and then they'll post YouTube videos of them playing other people's tablature and things like that. And so we were a part of all of that and did it anonymously. So we each had our own like user account that was not connected with the brand. And so we were kind of playing two sides because we were members of the community. This is where it got a little markety. I'll say this because I'm not working there anymore. But we would be the ones as our personal accounts, which were very active. And I required everybody on my team, like you have to spend 45 minutes a day on these forums talking about whatever you want, but you know, spend 45 minutes a day on these forums. And then whenever I wanted something to start having some buzz, I had 12 people that would start talking about it that morning on different things. And then as the brand personality, I would come in and I would give away some stuff to some of the people that started spreading it. And so it looked like, man, this makes me sound like such a dick. But it looked
that's how it works.
I know, but I was thinking it, right? I mean, it was like
in a way you've become a fan of the ukulele,
sure,
you know what I mean, and everything.
At the time,
you had passion for it,
right.
Regardless if you're trying to sell it, you know, you're still a fan.
I had passion and also required passion of my employees.
You were doing it right. You were doing it right.
So anyway, that type of marketing.
It's like hair club for men. You're not just a customer.
I'm not just the president.
Or not just a salesman. You're a client or whatever the thing was.
Yeah, the ukulele, whether they like it or not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because now, let me tell you, you scroll a little bit on TikTok or you scroll a little bit on Reels on Instagram, which is basically TikTok. You're gonna find someone playing the ukulele and doing a cover song.
Oh, and the brand we started is now in 1,200 stores in the U.S. Yeah. So it's I mean, I'm not a part of it anymore, but it's a big thing.
It's fascinating. So, we all have these. We need to do an episode that's all on our weird past lives, doing complete like we need talking about tattooing and ukuleles, and I can talk about
going out like
Sasquatch. All these weird other things we did that just it feels like a past life.
Yeah.
I feel like I've
I
done
think
some of those episodes, but they're all revolved around how I almost died.
Yeah, your stories usually end in like, and then I fell off the cliff. So,
Right. Yeah.
Which is actually the latter half of that ukulele club story.
By the way, a couple more sales have come in.
Man.
Oh my gosh, you guys are saving these scouts.
But one person was very clear; they're actually falling on the
Yes!
scout side.
Yes.
So, like I said, for no matter who you are, in this equation.
You guys better act on it because whatever he's got left, I'm getting. So
this reminds me of the old No Robin Die campaign that DC ran back in the day.
Oh,
yeah.
I absolutely think that like Cory, what you're saying rings so true because I can't disclose like a ton about where I currently work, right?
Right.
But I can tell you we're a multi-million-dollar company, and the majority of the business we get is still handshake deals and made over dinner and drinks.
Yep. Dinner, lunches, drinks.
And I am telling you, like what you were saying, Squatch, about like personal relationships is huge. And anyone who doesn't think it's huge isn't aware of like the fact that there are multi-million-dollar companies that run on handshake deals and personal relationships, and that is huge and should not be undermined or like looked down on. I think that's something to cultivate, and I think the way you're approaching it is really cool and makes me think a lot. And I think it seems to have benefited Gary a lot, and it's just such a cool idea. And I love that it's authentic because that goes to like the first book you ever read going into like management, right? Which is like making friends and influence, how to make friends and influence people. It's like the one thing you don't want to do from that book. Like it's basic, just tips on like how to make friends and influence people in business. And the one thing you don't want to do is give an inauthentic compliment because people read through that and they hate it. And you don't want to make fake friends. Like you want to actually find real interests and real human connections with other people that don't have to do with commerce. It's like a weird thing because if you're aiming for it too much, people sense that desperation and they're like, ugh,
Yeah.
So yeah,
well,
I love it.
They feel like they're being approached like on the used car lot. Like that. It's
Which, by the way, you guys. Gary has lost his mind. There's only a few left on this lot. Pick them up.
That's right. That's
Sorry.
right.
That kind of pitch only works, Josh, if you're riding a Bengal tiger. Here's a California.
I need a cowboy hat too.
Yeah. Go see Cal.
Is there a used car salesman that rides a tiger?
Yeah. So in California, there's this guy
Cal Worthington,
and he is in marketing textbooks today because of what he did on local television back then. But he would always have his dog Spot. Yeah. His dog Spot was always some animal that he borrowed from the zoo, and it was like a bear or a tiger or whatever.
He always referred to it as a dog Spot.
And he's like, "Hi, I'm Cal, and this is my dog Spot, and we've got Cadillacs on sale today." And he's just riding a Bengal because it's the 80s. He's riding a Bengal tiger in his cowboy hat, walking through the lot of his thing. How he didn't get mauled to death, I have no idea.
Right off the 91, yeah.
We had a guy in Arizona. I don't know if you
Tex Earnhardt.
Yeah, Tex Earnhardt, and he was always, and that ain't no bull. And
he was always riding a bull, and he would give his pitch, and he'd say like, you're gonna get a better price here than blah 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 wherever, and that ain't no bull. And the gag was that he wasn't technically on a bull; he was on a steer. So like that was, like the weird cowboy gag. Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. But Tex Earnhardt, I met him at the first place I worked. That nobody outside of Arizona is going to give a shit about this at all. But like I was at the first company I worked at out of college. The owner got nominated for some sort of like business award thing, and he was also nominated for something. And we were all at this like dinner thing at this hotel, and he was just every Arizona person. It was like he was a celebrity. Yeah. Like everybody's like, "Can I get a picture with?" Oh my gosh, Tex Earnhardt! We've been watching your commercials ever since I was a kid. That was the whole like he was like Brad Pitt or something for Arizona people. It's like Tex Earnhardt. Tex Earnhardt. Yeah. So yeah, I have a picture with Tex Earnhardt somewhere.
Yeah. There's what was this guy's name? it was like midnight or something on public TV. This like bum looking dude from California would be like going to strip clubs and stuff. What was his name? He was very popular though because of the way he promoted.
Dave Attell. Are you talking about Dave Attell?
No,
okay.
I know.
I'm
familiar with Dave Attell.
Night.
Yeah, no, but this guy was just like local broadcasting. It wasn't like cable or anything. God, what was his name? It was like Homeless Bob or some shit like that. Like, but
so
man,
funny.
like he could sell some stuff. Like if he had you on the show, like is like just like, oh, he stopped by your business or something. Man, it was just like Cal Worthington, just one of those local people that, you know, like you see him and you're like, oh my God, what was his name? Why don't I not remember?
It was just funny. This is another shout out for the Arizona crew. I was on the Wallace and Ladmo show.
Oh, so was my brother. Yeah.
Not just
my brother won a Ladmo bag.
I won a Ladmo bag. I was on the show and won a Ladmo bag, not just once, but twice.
No.
And I did it the legit way. I drew so Wallace and Ladmo, they were kind of like a Laurel and Hardy kind of thing. But they would show cartoons and they'd give out Ladmo bags, which were little paper lunch bags full of like RC Cola and bubblegum and stuff like that. And you could get on the show if you sent in a drawing of Gerald, who was another character on the show, who was this grown man playing like a prissy little boy. Like he was always like this bratty kid. If you drew a picture of something terrible happening to Gerald and sent it in, sometimes they would pick your drawing, they would show it on the show. And if they showed your drawing on the show, you got to come down and get a Ladmo bag. And I got that twice, which I lorded. Every Arizona girl I dated for most of my life, I was like, you know, I've been on the Wallace and Ladmo show twice. That was a big deal. That was
you could be a lucky seat winner too. My brother was lucky seat winner. Yeah.
Twice. Oh yeah, lucky seat. And I knew a kid once who was like, well, I want a Ladmo bag too. In the audience, I was like, that's a randomly assigned bag. That's trash. That's bullshit. I won it. I sent drawings in. Like that's a totally different tier of.
Wait. Drawings of terrible things happening. Could you show us a drawing real
terrible
quick
things happening
terrible things happening?
And there's a good connection. The reason why my brother was on the Wallace and Ladmo show is because they would bring in Boy Scout troops, and he was in a Cub Scout troop, and they brought them on. And so save a Boy Scout or
wheels within wheels. It's all connected. It's all.
I told you, it's a conspiracy.
Yeah. Actually, probably one of the times I was on there, I was probably in my Cub Scout uniform. I bet. I bet one of the two times. But
I think we need to save or destroy these Cub Scouts. And right now it seems like it's kind of a tie. So if you want to save them,
it is going to split. We need to sway this one way or the other. So this kid here, you might be saying like, boy, I hope he makes it. Or, you know, if you're being honest, you might say,
could that hand turn into a fan?
I mean, look at the socks up to the knees. What an idiot. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe he deserves what he got.
Standard issue. Come on.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. If I sell one more tonight, I will share my picture of myself in my Cub Scout uniform in 3rd grade. So
oh my gosh.
That's the incentive. If I get one more sale tonight,
I will tell you there is nothing in the world that will make me share my Weeblo uniform. Which is more embarrassing. I think because that's like, I forget, but isn't that after?
No, Weeblos
was before. Okay, so it wasn't too bad.
Cub Scouts, Weeblos, and then Boy Scouts.
Okay, I didn't make it.
I know that when you were doing it.
I was all 3.
Were you really? I never got out of Cub Scout. I have to admit.
Did you get your Eagle Scout, Scott?
No. I was like the worst Cub Scout. I was just there for, I did not.
Me too.
I don't think I got like a single merit badge or anything.
I was there for the events. I was just there for like the fishing derby and the Pinewood Derby and stuff.
I was going to say, I got a prize for, I think like a badge or something. I can't remember, but it was for those boats you have to make, the little scoot boats. And it was mainly just because it looked cool. Like it didn't even function well, but it looked aesthetically awesome.
Yeah, I had some cool ones. And then I helped my sons when they were in Boy Scouts and made some cool ones. I made like a Woody with the surfboard on it. And I made the Flintstones car out of one of them.
In my
I have over 30 cousins, and my dad is one of 7. My mom's one of 5. Both of my grandfathers and all male relatives that I have Eagle Scouts. So like I couldn't not do that. It was required. I hated it, but it was like it wasn't going to happen otherwise.
Yeah.
in my kitchen, I still have hanging proudly on the wall. It's a trophy, like a wall trophy for most creative for the father-son cake baking contest. Where he and I'll admit now to all the Boy Scout organization, I did virtually nothing in this. It was all my dad. I supervised the whole thing. But he is a Vietnam vet. He drove a tank in Vietnam, which a lot of people didn't realize that was a thing. But he made this tank cake, like full camouflage. It had, I remember, like Oreo cookies for the wheels along the side. Like it was like it camouflaged with like green and brown frosting. Like it was this whole crazy thing. We won most creative. I did nothing. In fact, I remember him distinctly saying, like, you just stand over there, you're gonna mess it up. Like he like keeping me far away from, but I have the trophy. So who's laughing now, Dad?
There you go.
That's right.
My dad was a high school woodshop teacher. So like every year that the Pinewood Derby came out, and my mom's an artist, we would just go to the shop and we would just make the craziest cards. So they had 2 different races. There was the rules race, and then there was the no holds barred race where people would like add like engines and like CO2 canisters, and we would always go for the crazy one.
I never got to do the scout thing. My dad was one of those sports freaks where you're playing baseball, you're playing this, you're playing that, you're doing this.
Yeah, I did
right
that
from
too.
the beginning, which is kind of why I am the size I am now, because I hate sports.
You just never again. I'm done.
As soon as I was the age where I was allowed to say no, I said no. Because just being forced to do it makes you hate it.
It's true.
I keep thinking that my son is going to be like the reverse cliche where he's going to be like, screw you, Dad, I'm playing sports. And I'm going to be like, you're going to do drama and art like a man.
Right.
Like,
I want to be a quarterback. You don't understand my life. I want to be prom king.
Yeah.
We're going to have an interest. I don't know how, Scott, how did you manage? Your children are a little older. They seem sane. How did you manage?
I don't know. It's kind of the same thing. Like I didn't push them to do that stuff, but I had them try it out, and they weren't really into it. And so other than my oldest was in karate for a while, my daughter is in dance and stuff. But
awesome.
But yeah, I memean, I don't know. But yeah, my dad wanted me to be all into sports and stuff too. And I played Little League, and I played Little League for like 6 years. I didn't hate it. I didn't like it, but I hated football. And I did it 1 year.
What position did you play?
In baseball? Oh, of course I played out. They threw me out in the outfield. Like,
no, what'd you play in football?
Football, I don't even know the positions. They didn't. The problem, my biggest problem with football is they didn't teach you how to play the game.
Right.
All they, I got on this team that was like undefeated last year, and they had the same players, and somehow I got thrown on this team. They didn't care anything about teaching you how to play. All they cared about is like, and we never lost a game, and it wasn't because of me. They didn't even, they didn't. We just teach you how to play the game. So that's
how I felt about.
So to this day, I have no idea how to play football. I don't want to. I don't care.
Yeah, that's how I felt about basketball. They like, I remember being thrown into basketball just because, I don't know, maybe it's in Arizona. I don't know if every grade school it's like basketball all the time, and high school basketball all the time. I know not all I know about basketball to this day, even though like they made you do it in PE, is like I know what traveling is. That's it. That's the complete knowledge of basketball. Hated it so much. So much.
My dad is the winningest freshman basketball coach in high school in the entire state of California.
Oh God.
He coached for 35 years.
Wow.
I felt totally I was not a sports kid at all, which will be a shock to nobody, but I was an okay hitter in baseball and softball. Like that was I couldn't catch for shit. I still can't. And I'll panic. Like if someone's like, "Here, let me throw you the keys." I'm like, "No, hand them to me." Like I don't want to even try. I could hit a ball okay. I was okay at soccer, and that was it. Everything else I was miserable at. It was terrible.
Any sticks? I can't play games with sticks. Hockey, golf, tennis, any baseball, any stick games. I'm just like, for some reason it renders me completely incapable. But yeah.
Freshman year, my dad he kept getting hassled by the coach because when I was a freshman, I was 6'4", big kid.
Oh shit!
He wanted me on varsity right off the bat as a freshman. My first day of practice, like you said, you played a year. I played one day. They put me up against their biggest fucking guy on the first day of Hell Week, and you're supposed to run at each other at full pace and smack into each other and try to knock one of. The guy broke my thumb. My thumb was dangling like this. The coach wanted me to keep playing.
Oh,
yep,
I took all my stuff off, threw it right there. I said, "You deal with this shit." I went home. I'll never do this again. My dad was pissed because of the money.
That was standard. That was standard Hell Week. Like from friends of mine who did football, it's like they would regularly, like the first few weeks, like the first few weeks of training, they get like concussions,
Yeah, that was my first freshman year in high school. That's my first experience in high school. I'm getting my thumb broken by the biggest guy at the fucking school, and I'm like, fuck this, I'm never playing. The coach hounded me.
Yeah.
So
4 years.
We would there's some guys in my church. There's 2 other guys that played football in my church. And we would go on this 50-mile hike in the high Sierras immediately before Hell Week. And so Hell Week is like, it's actually 2 weeks, and it's like in August in California, right? So it's like blazing hot.
Yeah.
But everybody's at 50 feet elevation, right? And so we'd go up in the high Sierras, hike around at like 12,000 feet for like 9 days, and we'd come back down, and they'd be like, "How are you guys not vomiting?" We're just like, running around like it's nothing. And we just tell them, "Clean living, guys, just clean living. That's what we're doing."
Because you're either vomiting or it's coming out the other end when you're at that high elevation doing that much.
The Cardinals here, they train up in Flag for that reason. Like, they train up in the high altitude.
Yeah, that's pretty common for.
Not that it's helped them much, but they do it. But.
It helps with their lung capacity. That doesn't
it helps. Yeah,
ability.
They're not winded, but they wouldn't have been winded anyway. They're not playing very hard.
How did a group of comic book artists start talking about football for 10 minutes?
We're talking about baking cakes, and I'm just like, wait, what?
Can we get back to this cake baking? But actually, this might be a good transition to. We are well past 2 hours.
Oh my God, we are.
Yeah,
that's how we ended up talking about football and cakes. We've been talking for 2 hours. Yeah,
I love.
We haven't told a Cory has almost died story in too long. That's what happened.
I know, and I kind of felt like that. That the training in the mountains, I was like, "This is coming. It's coming."
It's coming. And that's when we saw the grizzly bear.
Yeah. We did get separated. And half the guys ended up with the fuel, and the other half of the guys ended up with the stoves. So neither group could cook anything, and we had run out of food because this pass got snowed over, and so we had to trap food and fish, and then try to find each other, literally with like maps and a compass. And guessing where they're going to be, and trying to signal with mirrors and stuff. Anyway, I was hungry, but it wasn't.
I was worried this might go like that rugby team that crashed in the Andes or whatever.
Yeah, we ate our friend.
Yeah, we had to eat the little guy. But
the Sierras, man, it'll be 100 and something degrees baking on your ass, and then 2 hours later it's snowing, and then 3 hours later you got 4 feet.
Temperatures.
Yeah.
There was a time that I almost ran out of gas in the middle of Death Valley driving away from summiting Mount Whitney in a Kia Rio that I had bought for $900. And I pulled over at this place It is like a Twilight Zone place. Like it looks like an old mission, like an old California mission that has been plastered over and painted white, but it's a cafe, and it is
I know
it's
what is it
hundreds of
called?
miles from anything. It's like 70 miles from Pahrump, Nevada.
Yeah, it's called something station, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And like,
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I pulled up into this place, and I haven't seen another human being for several hours.
Yep.
And I was drinking water out of my Nalgene bottle that had sulfur in it because I got it out of a pump in Wellspring or something, and like a literal like water pump. Anyway, and it was brown, and I'm like, I'm gonna die. And I see this white building, and I'm like, okay, there's people, there's a car there. I walked in. And there's a waitress, and it's straight out of like Outer Limits or Twilight Zone. She was wearing like a 1950s waitress outfit.
Yeah.
And she turns around because I just walked in, and she goes, she doesn't say welcome to the cafe or hi, what can I get you? She says, what are you doing here? And I'm like, what is happening right now? And so anyway, I said, I'm out of gas. Where's where can I get some gas? And she's like, you can't get gas. There's no gas. And I'm like, well, how did you get here? She's like, I live here. I'm like, where do you get gas? Do you just live here and you never go anywhere? She's like, well, Pahrump, Nevada is like 60 or 70 miles that way. And so I rolled in on fumes and prayer and going into neutral every time there was a slight decline in the road. And when I pulled into Pahrump, Nevada, they were having the weirdest flea market bazaar, like selling like doll parts and kitsch and weird dinosaur toys just at this gas station, and the strangest people. It was really bizarre. Anyway, that was the time that I almost died in Death Valley, so that we can get one of those in each episode. There we go.
All right, we got one in. I gotta call it because we're over 2 hours.
Look at that.
I will say, like, it's a testament to how fun it is to kind of hang out with Squatchy and Gary. And I just really appreciate you guys coming on. Squatchy, thanks for just sharing your experience and your knowledge with this whole kind of like guerrilla marketing. And it's cool.
Squatch marketing.
And yeah, Squatch marketing.
Yeah, it's Sasquatch marketing. Yeah.
So you guys need to be following Squatchy on Twitter. I mean, not on Twitter. My goodness, on Instagram. That's how late it's gone.
I'm making my return to YouTube. I've like with the comic sales, I also did blanks of Squatchy and Foo.
So you're gonna stream drawn those?
Yeah, I've been making some time lapse of the ones I've done, but yeah, I'm gonna go live when I'll work on them and stuff like that, and get back into doing those lives and stuff. It's just, man, I've been so busy with Squatchy and Foo that like I haven't taken time to work on my YouTube channel. But yeah, you can't find me on YouTube. Same thing, Squatchy Comics. But like,
yeah, and there's a
Instagram.
link. Yeah, there's a link to the Instagram in the show notes too, and you guys just really need to be following him. Just, I mean, yeah, honestly, like really good deals on Squatchy blind bags. Basically, they're like boxes. Like it's like a deal where you get these. Well, you can explain it better. Squatch boxes.
Yeah, the Squatch box is a mystery box I do where I involve other comic books, like from other creators as well. Like I've used Dinosaurs vs. Mars bots before, but like, yeah, it's a mystery box. The mystery box community is huge with comic books, and so like with using my sketch covers, also like just doing random sketch covers, each box, like you've produced the value right there already. So all these extra books, they're seeing it as a huge bonus. But like if they win a book that's worth $100, it's just those extra things that help sell your covers when someone doesn't have that push to just buy a piece of art. They want to also get maybe a book that they've been hunting for a while. So I incorporate the two together, and I've sold out. Like the first few times I did, I sold out in less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And like now I think it's because people, aren't getting that Uncle Joe check no more, and so their spending has slowed up. But I still sell out. It just isn't in 5 minutes.
It just
It's
takes a few
week,
days.
or
Yeah.
But like I said, with what we've talked about today, it's the community. I'm doing extra work and like involving myself in these people's lives and making friends with people, but it's once you got them like as like a fan, they're gonna support you for as long as you're putting it out and even after.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the cool thing about making friendships too is it doesn't feel like work, which is like half the fun of friendships. Yeah. So that's awesome.
I mean, think about what you're promoting. I mean, if you're going on there and you got to think of it as promoting, even if you're not showing anything that you did. You're promoting by going out there, liking that person's book. Like, oh, I read this when I was younger. I didn't know this was still out. I'm going to check it out. Or just, that's a cool cover. Who did it? Like asking them a question that they have to answer like that, but that's promoting you. It's promoting you. Like you're not showing them a product just yet, but by putting yourself in their life, like they're going to want to support you because that's your friend. You know what I mean? But then also, I mean, they become a fan without knowing they were going to even like what you put out, like.
I love it.
I just,
cool.
It's my take on, trying to sell, like.
It's brilliant. It's good. It's super knowledgeable too. And thank you so much for like sharing all that. And you guys should be following him. And like also aside from like the Squatch boxes, the custom covers and stuff like that, like he posts pages of Squatchy and Foo on Instagram, which are hilarious, irreverent, and awesome. And it's a kick. So get on board, be following that on Instagram. If you're not, you're crazy. All right. Is there anywhere else that people can check out your work and like, how do they get a hold of these covers and stuff if they weren't smart enough to get those limited editions today? Hopefully they aren't sold out. Especially those BNC covers, how can they get a hold of those?
Squatchy Comics, just DM me, just send me a message, and I'll get back to you right away. Like that's my place of business, basically.
He's there all the time. Yeah. All the time.
No matter what hour. Really, yeah. I usually respond.
Yeah.
I love it. But, all right, Gary, did we save the children? Or the children?
I'll have to do the tally. I think kids were barely saved. I think it was really close. I think a lot of people wanted to see the kids get stomped and chopped up by the Martian warbot, but slightly more wanted to, get them walkers and wheelchairs and all that stuff. So sorry if you were rooting for the Martians, but anyway, but there are a few books left, but I sold a bunch tonight, actually. Thank you so much for everyone who bought one. You'll be getting a little extra goodie, like I said, in your package.
It's a good deal.
And even though it didn't happen, I'll just go ahead and post my Cub Scout picture anyway, just because I quoted it.
I'm sure you're going to sell some more tonight. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah, Gary. Also, if people are watching this after the fact, where can they go if there are any left?
If there are any left. Basically, the easiest way to find anything I'm doing is to go to my Instagram. It's dinosaursversusmarsbots.com, or not .com. Dinosaurs versus Marsbots. Dinosaurs vs Marsbots. There's a link tree there. It'll take you everywhere. It'll take you to my Etsy shop, take you to my YouTube, wherever you want. And if you're a fan, on my YouTube right now, I'm trying for the first time to include you in the process of making the next D versus M comic. Usually what I do is I make it, put it out there, and make a bunch of videos about what it was like to make it. Now I'm trying to do it in real time, kind of update you on the process week to week. So check it out.
And I will say, Gary does not disappoint in those videos. You guys are probably pretty familiar. Gary's very well spoken, very thoughtful, and the intention and editing and everything that's gone into these videos in real time, it's very cool and kind of exciting. And I encourage everybody should be subscribed to Gary's YouTube channel. So
I even dig the thumbnail kind of retro.
Oh,
I'm
dude,
enjoying the 70s thumbnails. Yeah, they're fun to make.
I dig
Totally.
it. It's cool.
Love it.
Thank you.
Stands out.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on, Gary. You're practically becoming like the official fourth host almost at this point.
Fantastic.
We have you on.
Hey.
So Cory, where can everybody find you? And by the way, that animation is just stunning, and I can't believe you're already back to animation, which is that's pretty badass, man. Recovery.
I'm not back. This is my test to see if I can do something, and it's.
I love that Cory's test is beyond what most people
It's
can
better.
do.
Talk about it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
It hurt a lot, so I'm not. I don't. It's not. I'm probably doing damage, so I kind of put my sling back on. But
Don't get yourself into trouble again. Like,
Yeah. Take it slow.
Taking it slow is frustrating because they told me it'll be basically till like Christmas before I can start doing stuff again. So it's driving me nuts. But I thought I'd take my sling off and try, and now I'm paying for it because it hurts a lot. But I'll probably post this somewhere. Actually, you can go to CoryKerr.com if you want my stuff. But I would like to promote something a little bit weird and different. There was a whistleblower that left Facebook that just testified in Congress the other day, and there's a 3-hour long testimony that she gave. If you would like to have generations of people grow up that aren't suicidal, depressive, body dysmorphia, and have all kinds of problems, and actually know how like human interaction works, I would talk to your congressman, talk to your go watch that, or watch parts of it at least, or listen to it. It's a really eye-opening look at why social media is problematic, and it's not because people that are creating Facebook or whatever are evil, but because the algorithmically driven timeline promotes negative emotion, just because negative emotion is easier. So without going on a big long rant, we're trying to get some regulation of the tech industry to eliminate or regulate algorithmically driven timelines, so that we can get back to the way social media used to be, where if I followed Squatch and he posts something, I get to see it, rather than the algorithm deciding whether I see it or not, because actually that's causing January 6th. It's causing hate groups. It's causing polarization and echo chambers. And there's a huge amount of problems, including inside Facebook and Instagram and WeChat and all that stuff. People are individually incentivized. Their yearly bonuses are based on growth. They're not based on public safety or based on the betterment of society. So there's a financial incentive for the individuals that are making the decisions to make the wrong decisions for humanity. And never before have we seen more movement in government towards something that has the possibility of helping us not destroy ourselves as humans. So instead of my art or whatever, go watch that and then call some representatives.
Yeah, I second that, and I will say it's fascinating. It also is a good indication as to how clueless some people in Congress are, because they'll be like, "So you're saying there's a nefarious, evil person who's like, choosing to approve these videos?" And they're like, "No, the problem with the videos is like there's a machine that's self-learning that just doesn't know better than to approve it. They just need people." And they're like, "Oh, so there's evil people?" And they're like, "No, it's the fact that there's no people. They need people." So it's fascinating. It's good. And I second what Cory was talking about. Although I will reinforce the fact that not everybody who works at Facebook is evil. I have a lot of really good friends who work there. And
I think most of them are trying to do good things, but it's the way that it's set up is problematic. So go watch my
self-driving machine.
BattleBots video. That's
very good. All right. So I will go next because Scott always closes us out because he can tell you how to do the signups and all that fun stuff. So if you haven't yet, pick up 2 stories, book 1. And I would also second what all of our guests have said. Buy their books, support indie comics. If you can, it's barely anything, pick up this awesome book about faith, mental illness, and also it happens to touch on nerddom early on.
Yeah.
Fandom of early 80s properties like Indiana Jones and making independent comics and being a geek who's terrible at sports. So
And
a lot of
learning
our
to cut.
conversation today.
And learning how to curse. Yeah.
Asshole. Yeah.
Oh yeah, learning
I
swear
love
words,
that
which
page so much.
I still to this day am really good friends with the guy who taught me those swear words. So, but yeah, it was
I love
like,
that shit so much.
oh. Okay. That being said, unlearning how to swear when you're in supervisory positions, that's a whole other thing.
I just embraced
Very difficult. Believe
Yeah.
me, very difficult.
Yeah. So speaking of swearing and terrible human beings, I'm just kidding. That would be the first transition. I'm so sorry. One of the best human beings in total juxtaposition to that, who is awesome and has a ton of great comics and amazing just everything, but honestly, like a ton of insight into comics and valuable information that I think all of us would have killed for when we started in art. So Scott, where can people find that? And then after that, how do they keep track of this crazy channel that bounces back and forth everywhere?
Sure. Yeah. So you can go to, if you want, I do have a comic book. It's called Young and the Dead. It's Kids versus Zombies. It is an homage to Goonies and all those 80s action adventure films. Just imagine Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead. You can find that at Serkland.com, along with a bunch of tools if you happen to be a comic creator. I have a lot of digital tools that'll help you with your lettering comics, with building comics, and just all kinds of cool stuff up there. So definitely check that out. If you also want to learn how to make comics, you can check out my YouTube channel where I have a series called Making Comics 101. Probably the most I venture to say that it is the most comprehensive course on how to make comics on YouTube. I mean, I think there's like 70 something episodes in total.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of content up there on that. So definitely check that out. And like Josh mentioned, we do this show pretty much every single week. Although I think we may skip next week. Did we decide on that? Is that the week we're going to skip, Josh?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to take a little break.
I'm having my floor. My floor is going to be gone that week.
Right. So we're going to skip next week because we're going to come back. We've got three more episodes before we hit number 300. So we're going to come back strong. We're going to have our Halloween episode, and we're also going to have our 300th episode, and then one episode before that. So we're going to take a little break, but there might be a lot of people that aren't watching this that don't know that, and they'll be like, what's going on with the Artcasters? Where are they? Well, if you join our mailing list, you'll be in the know, because we let everyone know if we're going to skip a week, which hardly ever happens. I think this is the first time in a long time that we've done that. But it's just a good way, because talking about algorithms and things, YouTube doesn't always let people know, even if you're subscribed to the channel or whatever, that when our new videos are coming out. So just join our mailing list, and we send out an email newsletter. We don't spam you or anything like that. Just usually at least 30 minutes before we go live, we like to send that out to let people know who the guest is, who the topic is, and also whose channel it's on, because it bounces back and forth from Josh's channel to my channel. So that's the best way to know when we got new episodes coming out. So definitely check that out. There's a link in the description to join that mailing list. So yeah.
Awesome.
And
thanks to everybody.
Also, yeah.
Go ahead.
Figured you're going to say thanks to the chat. So.
Oh yeah, so I was just going to say thanks to everybody in the chats, thanks to our guests, and again, like we were talking about community at the top, and I know that Scott, Cory, and myself are very thankful for this whole community, including our guests who are part of our community, because community is kind of everything with social media, with friendships, with inspiration and all of that. So we really appreciate you guys, and appreciate everybody who decided to spend their valuable time watching this video. So thank you, and we will see you guys next week. And I was trying this out a little bit earlier, and I'm going to...
No, we won't see you next week.
Not next week, but we will see you on Halloween. And then there's like a very... Oh, I love it. And buy these books.